event that puts Bathurst on a global scale. We are in New South Wales. You head 3 hours west of Sydney and you'll find this mecca for Aussie motorsport. Welcome to Bathurst. Welcome to Mount Panorama. It is the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hour. And this year we have something special coming to this venue. More cars and more stars. We have a huge grid of cars and over 120 drivers, some of the best touring cars and definitely sports car drivers from around the world. Valentino Rossi's back here. He was on the podium here last year. We've got drivers representing 20 different nations here this week. I think it's 22 different countries represented on the grid. It is going to be a wonderful Bathurst 12 Hour, but it starts with Pirelli qualifying. And joining me down here to preview what's going to be a very fast couple of sessions today, this bloke, he won his last race here. It's Garth Tander, and the girl who's internationally known as the Gearbox Girl. It's Shay Adam. Fantastic to have your wonderful knowledge of sports car racing here back in Australia. Garth, how would you describe this weekend's event so far?
Sedate so far, Chad. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Shay. It's been an interesting set of practice sessions. We've had 6 practice sessions leading into qualifying, which we'll fire up very, very shortly. And we've basically been playing poker for 6 practice sessions. No one showed their hand right to this point. But at some point, you're going to have to get cracking because we've got the Pirelli pole battle this afternoon. And the first session you'll see on track is the slowest 50% of the field from practice 6, and they need to bump their way into the Pirelli pole battle, the top 10.
Yes, one driver who we believe will be coasting through if those practice 6 times show anything to go by. Cam Waters, local operation, all supercars team did a very nice job earlier today.
He really did. He gave it his all, but you could tell there is still something left in the car should they need it, that they can just pull that little bit of an ace out of their sleeve. The all Aussie lineup, Cam Waters doing the duty for that last practice session. Are they going to put Tom Randall in the car, or perhaps even defending supercar champ Chaz Mostert? They have a plethora of options.
Yeah, throw in Thomas Randall, and that is a very handy-looking lineup. But we go up and down this pit lane, you always find amazing stories, and one of the stories that emerged earlier today is an all-family operation. Now, we know the name Tony Quinn because he's become a bit of an international star in this part of the world for his ownership of different circuits and businesses, but they've shown up here this week in Garth with 3 generations, from Tony all the way down to his grandson, and it was Ryder who did the job earlier today with an amazing lap. Very emotional moment for this family too.
And did the job really well. Ended up P4 with a 2:02.5. That's a ripping lap time. So park the sentimental value of running, with your grandfather and your dad and your uncle. The grandson's done a 2:02.5 to go 4th fastest in what was effectively a qualifying simulation. Some of the best GT drivers in the world, and Ryder Quinn has very little experience in these cars. So to do the lap time he did, we were calling it for the YouTube stream, and I was, right, you've done the lap time, park the car, because there's more risk. If he's trying to go even faster, just whoa it up, save it for the race. But to this point, they've done a fantastic job.
Now, we mentioned that it's that split between the fastest 50% of cars that will go out in this second session. One car that certainly surprised a few people, Shay, to see it in this first, the slower 50% of the field, was last year's pole sitter.
Yeah, well, we not only have Lucas Auer in the bottom half in a Mercedes, but in another Mercedes, the sister car, 2-time Alan Simonson Pole Award winner, Mauro Engel. We have the Corvettes did not make it into the top half. The Ferraris did not make it in. There's a lot to play for, and we might just find that this first session, with the cloud cover we have, it could be faster.
Yeah,
this car, Lucas Auer, who set pole last year, did a 2:01.2 to set pole position. The fastest time that car's done this weekend so far, a 2:03.9, 1.7 seconds slower to this point. You can still get your way into the Pirelli pole shuffle, but there's a whole lot of traffic and a few slower cars you're going to have to navigate in this first session.
So the big question up and down pit lane and around the paddock is, are these drivers and these cars that we're talking about, are they slow, or are they just playing the games that we see in sports car racing?
That's the $1 million question. It's literally $1 million question, because that's the value of most of these cars up and down pit lane. Yeah, we will find out soon, but I do feel like they will go fast enough to be at the front, but not completely show their hand because of what they have in GT racing with the BOP and the way that they adjust these cars to make them competitive with each other. They're not going to show their hands too much because they want to make sure they got the right package to go racing for 12 hours tomorrow.
All right, so we're just about set here, Pirelli qualifying not too far away. The first time that you can enjoy, exclusive to Fox Sports and KO, 4K Motorsport. Get used to it. This is the new norm in this part of the world, streaming around the world as well. And I'm looking forward to this one. Richard Craill up in commentary, loves the 12 hour, and all the way from the frigid winter of northeastern England, John Hindhaugh, the voice of sports car racing. Let's get into it, fellas.
Thanks, Chad. Great to have you in the lane with Shay Adam. Garth Tander will make his way up to the commentary box as we get set to go through the process of setting the grid for Australia's International Enduro, and it has rarely been more international than it is in 2026. As the guys touched on, 22 nationalities represented, 68 drivers out of the 120 odd in this field are from overseas, and that is remarkable. Now, Bathurst being Bathurst, the weather always plays a role here. Right now, 20.4 degrees. There's quite a breeze coming from the east at about 25 kilometres an hour, but we're getting reports from some of our spotters around the circuit that there might be a little light rain falling around the place, and that's what keeps bringing my international mate back every year. John Hindhoff, welcome back to you. This place never fails to deliver unpredictability, and this is where we're doing it.
174 metres elevation change. That's a lot, and that surprises all of the newcomers when they first get to the mountain, whether they're driving up there at 60k or they're doing the running. The climb starts at the Ford cutting, and up over the top, these GT3 cars as they head towards Skyline. Some of the most impressive pictures and motor racing that you will see. And then, if you've gone up, of course, you've got to come down, and down Conrod to the fastest corner in Australian motorsport, TM, before you go down through the chase and through Meguiar's to the final corner. That little left-hander, much trickier than it looks. That's what's in store today, as we'll set the grid for tomorrow in 3 easy stages. More of that after we've heard from Chad in the Elf Oil pit lane.
Yeah, well, Shay and I, John, definitely gave each other that knowing look of, can you feel rain? I can feel rain. But that spitting has stopped down here in pit lane at the moment as I hear the amazing Corvette just scream past me. That car sounds wild. You can check it out up on the vision from the top. The thing about Bathurst, it could be raining in the pits, it could be dry at the top, and vice versa. I'm reminded, Krause, of a session a few years ago where it was looking like the rain was going to come for qualifying session 2. So very different to what we had on that occasion.
Yeah, you're right, Chad. And these 2 sessions are important. So just to bring you up to speed on the process to get to the Pirelli pole battle, which is the 10 quickest cars fighting it out for pole position over 15 minutes. Qualifying one is the slowest 50% of the field, 17 cars from practice number 6, which, as Garth touched on earlier, was something of a qualifying simulation. Qualifying 2 is the fastest 17 cars from the field so far. The times are then combined. So if it does rain for qualifying 2, it gets really interesting, and we end up with a very interesting looking Pirelli pole battle later on this afternoon as we welcome Garth Tander back to the commentary box. So it's not quite a knockout system. Well, it is in that we knock out everyone bar 10 to work their way through to the pole battle later on this afternoon. But you can progress. You could get pole if you are on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, you can absolutely bump your way into the Pirelli pole battle top 10 this afternoon from this session. You don't have to elevate to the next one. If you do the time that's good enough in this session and it stands, you're in and you're part of the game when we do it later on this afternoon. Where the disadvantage of being in this session is exactly what we saw right there, some of the slower traffic. So if you're on a fast lap, you're one of the cars that feel like you should be in the game this afternoon, you could come across a slower car and that can ruin your lap. Might happen once, might happen 3 times, and it might be those 3 laps that you need to get in.
And the other thing is, you don't know what time you're shooting for. It's a complete unknown. The guys that come out next will know where they've got to be. It could be that the whole of the Pirelli top 10 for the shootout for the Alan Simonson Award comes from the next session. It could be 5 and 5, it could be 9 and 1. We just don't know where that line is going to be drawn and what time will get you in.
Well, and to that point, there are some heavy hitters in qualifying number 1. So Jackson Evans behind the wheel of a Ferrari, that this car last year, 12 months ago, was an outright contender. This car led the race with 25 minutes to go before having to put fuel in. This car should be capable of qualifying on pole position. They've got to work their way in. Ryan Wood is out there in the sister Ferrari from ARGT, Arise Racing GT. Maro Engel, Shay mentioned, 2 Alan Simonson pole awards in the history of this race, and he has the qualifying record here at 2 minutes .88. Lucas Auer, Craft Bamboo Racing, you touched on the fact that they've got to work their way through. That car was on pole position last year. Dorian Boccolacci, a Porsche Pro, he's out there running around. Glenn Wood in the KTM, Lauren Heinrich, factory Porsche driver, Earl Bamber, two-time Le Mans winner. They're all on the racetrack now trying to fight their way through to the Pirelli pole battle. It's amazing the depth in this field.
Now, you might be wondering why we're not getting overly excited about times coming in. There will be an element of Pirelli tyre warm-up that's going on here. Are you going to send somebody out on an older set of tyres to get the idea of what the conditions are, Garth? If you're put your team manager hat on, is that what you do, and then you put a brand new green set of sticker tyres on?
I think what I would do is, if I was team managing for any of the names that Richard Crail just rattled off, all the GT experts that find themselves in this field, I would have them on a used tyre just to confirm the balance from any setup changes that you've made between the end of practice and the start of qualifying. Because there's no point changing the car and bolting a new set of tyres on, because you're gripping the car up. You don't know if you've made it better or the tyre grip's better. So those pro guys that have done so many miles in these cars can put a new tyre on late in the session and get the most out of it. If you've got a driver that's a bronze driver or a silver driver that's having a crack in this session, throw new tyres at them every time they come to the pit lane and let them build the confidence and understand the grip they have each run.
That's what about half of the cars so far out on the racetrack have done. As a matter of fact, Garth, they've sent the car out on an old set of Pirellis, let the driver feel what the car feels like, and now come back in to sticker them up. That's what they just did for Earl Bamber down at the JMR Johor Racing Corvette. Unfortunately, when they went to put the new left front tire on, they dropped the car off the air jack, and because the Pirelli was seated but not yet attached, now they're checking to make sure that that didn't do any sort of damage to the left front suspension before they give Earl a shout. So might have just gotten a bit harder for this Corvette to make it through. They'll
also be checking the threads on the hub there, because you can damage the thread and think that you've got the wheel nuts, the centre lock wheel nut done up, and not. That is not a good start to the session. Coming into this, Quilsey, if we look back, it's free practice 6, which split the field in half. It was incredibly tight in the top half of the field, and to get into the top half of the field. So I'm not sure what times we're even looking at here.
Well, 19 cars covered by exactly 1 second in practice number 6 about 2 hours ago. The fastest lap time was set by Cam Waters in that 222 Scott Taylor Motorsport car, 2:02.35. So I think we start there and work our way forward from that as a benchmark lap time, on the basis that a bit of track evolution, new tyres will go on, at least for the Pirelli pole battle later on this afternoon when you get into that, should you get into that. You would expect that pole's going to be in the ones somewhere, based on what we've seen in recent history. And you might be sitting at home, comfortable on your lounge with a refreshing beverage in your hand, going, hang on a minute, isn't it a 12-hour race tomorrow? Does it really matter where you qualify? History says yes.
Yeah.
2 reasons. 1, this is a track position race. You want to be at the front of the field for as long as you possibly can on race day. 2, this race has been won from lower than 7th on the grid once. And that was the winner that came from 11th in 2020, which was the Bentley, in pretty extraordinary circumstances. Last 3 years in a row, the winners come from 4th place on the grid. So maybe that's the lucky number.
You're aiming for 4th here.
Correct.
We're on board here with Lauren Heinrich in the 61 Porsche, heading out of the chase, and this is going to be the first real representative lap time. He has set the fastest first sector, set the fastest middle sector across the top of the mountain, and comes to the final corner. On the gas nice and early out of the final corner, a little bit of curb on exit, comes to the line, and we'll a 3-1. So there you go.
Yeah.
We saw mid-2s in practice 6 when they did their qualifying simulations. And I expect that this next lap will be faster again, because particularly with the Porsche, the front tyre warm-up takes a lap or 2 to get the temperature that you need for the balance and the grip and the confidence across the top of the mountain. So look for Heinrich to improve. One of the curious things that we've seen so far in this weekend, and it's a new construction Pirelli tyre here this weekend, a DHG Pirelli tyre, is the warm-up is taking a considerable amount of time. So not only the warm-up to actually, so you can drive the car properly, takes a lap or 2, but then the performance warm-up is taking 3 or 4 push laps to get the most out of it. So that's why we haven't got too excited so far at the start of this one, because it is take a little bit of while to build the temperature that you need to get the most out of the car.
Just as we're watching Maro Engel coming through the final corner, Ryan Murray's corner, just a point on Lauren Heinrich behind the wheel of that number 61. He is catching the GT4 Artura over the top, but I think he's going to be all right on his second flying lap. You will get 2, possibly even 3 good laps out of these Pirelli tyres, Carl.
Yeah, we saw some cars getting 3, 4, 5 push laps in practice, depending on what they started their tyre pressures at when they left pit lane, how much they expected the tyre pressure to build as the temperature came up over the course of the run. So ultimately, you want the tyre to switch on in 2 to 3 laps.
Yeah.
Because if you're waiting too long for the tyre to get up to temperature, you're using too much of the goodness while your temperature's coming. You've got to match the peak temperature with the peak goodness or the peak grip from the tyre. And that's a real art for the team to give you the right setup in the car, and it's the right art as a driver to prepare the tyre in the warm-up lap or even a preparation lap ahead of a couple of really extensive push laps.
A lot of attitude from the GMR car, but the sector times don't represent that, so still building up to it. Maro Engel, 52.2 in the first sector. For reference, the pole lap last year by Lucas Auer, 49.8 in the first sector, 30.9 across the top, and 40.3 seconds is that final sector, which is basically the drag race down Conrod Straight and the Scuderia Auto Art chase.
Following that 888 car is, I think that's Dylan O'Keefe, isn't it, behind the wheel? Yes, it is, of the Pro-Am car. Another AMG. There are 10 of them in the race at the weekend. Dylan's put some decent lap times in, but at the moment...
Oh, David Russell hustling.
I was just about to say David Russell is the fastest in the first sector, and he's lost a bit of time in the sector too. I can't be blamed for that one. I didn't curse him because I hadn't said it. I only thought it. Sorry, David.
Ben Green across the line in the second of the 2 JMR Corvettes. Great to have Chevy as part of the race for the first time. And the very experienced Brit goes 5th in Carney to 9 to Garth's point about lap 2 being the second push lap being better. Lauren Heinrich improves to a 203.00, but he's going on with it again now as well. So has gone purple, which means quicker than anybody in the session so far to that first sector time. And now Maro Engel will look to do the same in the GMR number 888 car. And yes, it's a 888 number. It's not 888 Race Engineering running this car. Very experienced team based out of Hong Kong that have been coming here for a long time and have got close to winning this race in the past.
Heinrich's had an absolutely clear lap. Incredibly, he's had an absolutely clear lap. He's just coming into the Scuderia Auto Art chase now as we're keeping an eye on Engel going across the top. This is going to be another improvement for Lauren Heinrich in that number 61 Porsche. It comes to the final corner now, but look at this commitment on the top from Engel.
It's a big commitment from Maro Engel, but there's not getting the lap time reward. He's a fair chunk of lap time away in the first sector for Maro Engel.
202.6 for Lauren Heinrich, so that is a properly representative lap time now that may stand up to get through to the Pirelli pole battle.
Of all shocks, we have not yet had a representative lap time from last year's pole winner, Lucas Auer. Lucas went out about 3 minutes ago. He came back into the pit lane and parked on a diagonal. No work happening to this car. No new tires. The stickers are actually still on the Pirellis that he went out on. So he did do a roading lap, as Garth would call it. Came back in, was messing a bit with his helmet blower, but they are clearly just waiting, hoping that the track might get a little bit thinned out worth of traffic. Maybe the GT4, the Invitational, some of the silver cars, Pro-Am decide to come back into the pit lane, and then Lucas can go out and really use the tires. But guys, the clock's still running. They're running out of time for the defending pole winner to get a shot at the Pirelli pole battle.
And the 30-minute session, there is red flag time built in, so 10 minutes for each session if there is a red flag, so they can add that time on to the end. But once you eat up that 10 minutes, the clock continues to count down. So they'll be aware of that, but there is still time for Craft Bamboo to get a lap time in. Just for reference, that lap from Lauren Heinrich, 202.66, would have put him 5th in that combined session we talked about earlier today, where everyone went quicker than they've been all weekend long, which is how we got this split for qualifying. So Heinrich, Russell 2nd in the 47 Superbarn car, great lap. Green's just gone to 3rd in the Corvette with a 203.5, and that is the quickest this car has gone all weekend to this point. So they're starting to find their feet and turn up the wick down at Johor Motorsports.
That 202.6 from Lauren Heinrich is nearly 1 second faster than that car did in practice 6. So we did have a feeling that they were holding back a little And the Corvette's just proven a little that that's the fastest lap time that any Corvette has done over the course of the weekend for Ben Green at 2:03.5. So, to your point, Rich, it's okay to protect your BOP, if you like, and protect your car performance, but you need track position at the start of the race. And there is a degree of risk involved with starting deep in the field at the start of the race. We have seen some of the main contenders get caught up in lap 1 incidents here at a 12-hour race. So the safest place to start this one is in front of the field. You'd say that. The first 3 cars ran into each other all the way up Mount Straight last year as well. So
the final all the way up, didn't they? Absolutely. Lauren Heinrich just lifting off there, 209, trying to get a bit of recovery onto the Pirelli tyres, not overheating them at the moment. He's still got clear. They've got him out into a really lovely part of the track where he's able to affect his own position on the track and stay away from the problems that we're seeing at the BMW M Forest Elbows. KFC sponsored car comes down the hill now, and Maxi Gertz behind the wheel as he comes to the king. He'll have lost a bit there. It might not have been his absolute push lap.
So Bamber 10th at the moment in the second Corvette, but this will be his first representative lap time. It's not going to be as good as his teammates though. Right now, Johor Motor Racing, who have got a car in 2 classes, so the Pro Class and Pro-Am, and you can split them by the colour of the number square on timing totem, left of screen. That lap from Bamber's a 5.1. We know now that those cars can go much quicker than that, so this might be the lap for the hugely experienced Kiwi, who, by the way, has got a couple of horses in the race here, has Earl, because not only is he driving his team, Earl Bamber Motorsport, are one of the favoured contenders, and there is his car, there is the Porsche heading into the chase. So they are a real shot at a win, and Lauren Heinrich currently quickest. He's gone quicker to the first sector than he's been all session. Middle sector wasn't his best for the session, but overall he's still up. So there might well be a little bit more improvement from the Porsche. He just took a lap off, a little bit wide at the final corner, goes quicker, 2:02.38. Second quickest lap of the weekend overall. Lauren Heinrich is firing for Earl Bamber Motorsport.
And that's pretty impressive, Rich, because he had to get past one of the AMGs, the Citroën Tigani Motorsport 47 car, on that lap. So he did have to make a pass going through there. There's time in that car yet, I think.
yeah, a little bit wide at the exit of the final corner at Murray's Corner as well. Picked up a bit of dirt, so there's a 10th or 2 there as well. So more performance still to come from the 61, but that lap time, as Richard Craill said, the second fastest lap of the weekend so far. You're starting to think, well, maybe that might be enough, but I'm not so sure that it is. I think if you've got a 1 there, a 2:01 something, it'll be a high 2:01. I think then you can start to feel a whole lot more confident that that lap time's going to stand up when the fastest 50% go out and do their thing.
Sure. The other interesting thing for mine, and it might be a learning that other teams look at, especially if you're driving a 911, did 2 push laps, took a lap off, cooled the tyre down, and then went again, and was able to deliver that lap time again and improve with a cool down lap in between those push laps.
There's a whole slew of cars that have headed to the pit lane with 11 minutes left. Do you throw another set of tyres on it if you're down the field? And there's some big hitters there as well. Maro Engel is still not in the conversation as we head to Chad down in the Alfoil pit lane.
Guys, the question had been raised across the course of the weekend. How would the GT4 and Invitational cars approach this session? Obviously not wanting to impede some of these faster GT3 cars. I can tell you at the moment it looks like all 3 have parked up, which will mean that there should be very little traffic on the racetrack for these last 10 minutes.
Garth Tant.
And down in Mercedes world, it is a tale of 2 very different cities. Lucas Auer has just been pushed backwards out of his pit box, and the Lollipop pulled up, so he is now clear to go out onto the racetrack. Has not yet moved, but the 888 car did come into the pit lane. Maro Engel got out. That means that they will not be making it into the Pirelli pole battle, and Maro Engel will not be getting a 3rd Alan Simonson trophy.
He took his helmet off.
It's done.
Walked away, didn't even look back at the car, and they are not in the same postcode of the guys at the top of the field.
The man that's got the fastest qualifying lap time in the GT3 era, Maro Engel, is currently the 2nd last car in Pro Class.
Yeah.
The last car in Pro Class hasn't set lap time was last year's pole position award winner Lucas Auer, who's going out to do a time now, and you'd expect that he will do better than a 2:06.3. So there's a story going on at 888 Group M Racing.
Well, the other point we'll make, Garth, is that once we get to the end of qualifying 2, positions 11 through 34 are set. That's where you start the race.
Yeah, that's right.
So right now, assuming all the very fast cars in qualifying 2 go quicker, Maro Engel could start this race 30th position.
Yeah.
So there is a huge story unfolding there from a car that we all circled on the entry list coming into the weekend. It was like, yeah, they're contenders, they'll be good.
The weekend started badly. They had that issue in the very first of only 2 sessions that they had yesterday. And if you're joining us from outside of Australia, maybe you haven't followed this race that closely down through the years, we don't split the field here. The time that is set and the position on the grid is where they will start. We don't push all the pro cars up to the front. None of that. They are racing outside the top 10 from 11th on down. They are racing right now for their grid position. Where do you even start trying to explain that?
Well, you can't. We're all a bit gobsmacked here in the commentary box because they're, especially the Maro Engel car was a white-hot favourite. Earl Bamber's just popped up in the number 2 Chevrolet Corvette 2030, fastest final sector for that car of the session so far. And that now is the fastest Corvette lap time of the weekend. But still some 7/10 away from Lauren Heinrich, who's put the cue in the rack and taken the helmet off, and that's as fast as they can feel that they can go right now. So curious time. If you're going to put, you raised the question, John, do you put another set of tyres on and have another go? Well, you need to have had doing it now, and you can see one of the Arise Racing Ferraris leaving pit lane on a brand new set with Brian Wood on board. The second set of tyres always warm up quicker than the first set because the car's warm. The stub axles or the spindles are warm, the brakes are warm, so you get a lot more radiant heat coming from the car into the tyre rim that then warms up the tyre itself. So the tyre warms up much more quickly on the second run, so you don't need as much preparation time on this second run. So you can squeeze two runs in, but it does condense the last run up. You need to get it done in a lap or 2.
Corvette's going to come into pit lane. Chasing him down is Dylan O'Keefe, reigning Carrera Cup Australia champion. This is a Pro-Am entry from GWR Australia and Ram Motorsport. And it's great to see Mike Sheargold here, who is the Ram in the Ram Motorsport. Not driving this weekend, but watching on. Brett Hobson was very fast as a Pro-Am driver. So too Garth Walls, and Dylan O'Keefe has been given the job to qualify the car. He's done a 2:03.8, which puts them 8th at the moment, second of the Pro-Am class cars that are running right now. So solid lap time from them. Lauren Heinrich fastest at the moment, 2:02.38. He's got 7/10 of a second over Earl Bamber in the Corvette. The second of the Corvettes is Ben Green. He's third. Roman De Angelis is next in the Heart of Racing by SPS Mercedes that has just left the pit lane. David Russell 5th. Jackson Evans 6th for Arise Racing GT in the Ferrari. His teammate Ryan Wood, who's done a 2:03.5, is 7th. O'Keefe 8th, as we said. Bryce Forward, the Territorian, in 9th place. And Renault rounding out the top 10 in the number 21 Porsche. Is about to complete a lap and move up a few spots. He goes to 8th with a 2:03.6. So that's the 10 as it stands. There's 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying number 1 for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour.
Renault a little bit wide. The exit of turn 1 for the run up Mountain Straight. I don't think that's going to cost him too much lap time because it's such a critical exit off turn 1 as you start the climb up those 174 metres of elevation from pit lane to the top of the mountain. Keeping that momentum up as you climb is critical. That's why turn 1 is so important when you start a lap. It's Brian Wood aboard the second Arise Racing Ferrari, and here's Lucas Auer, who has got a lap time going, but it's not going to shine in lights. He goes to 13th at 2:06.0, so he does bump Maro Engel, but it's certainly not going to be a lap time that gets you excited about thinking that they're going to do another session later on this afternoon for the Pirelli pole battle.
3.5 seconds away is what that Maro Engel time is from it just doesn't compute, does it? That's 6 seconds slower than his lap record time.
Yeah, there's an issue there. I feel like they've only done one proper lap correct this weekend. It was late in practice 1, and from then on they've been largely anonymous. So whether they're fighting some gremlins in that car, we will find out. That is one of the big heavy hitters that'll start deep in tomorrow's 12 hour.
Follow this lap from Lucas Auer because it's important, but while that's been going on, David Russell, the quickest final sector of anybody, has gone second in car number 47. Great lap from D. Russ. Chad?
on Myro Engel. It's been a curious case for the last few years in qualifying here. If he hasn't been first, he's been last. Remember 2022, they didn't actually get a chance to qualify when it was at Craft Bamboo. That car was taken off site and actually finished second in the race from the very back of the field.
A good point Chad makes there. It was a pretty wacky strategy that they used too. They did about 100 pit stops in the first half of the race. We've been curious about Lucas Hour, or curious no more. Look at the timing totem on the left of your screen. Car 77 down in position 13 has a purple strike next to it. He is the fastest in the first sector and is about 2 tenths away in the middle sector across to the top of the mountain. Here he is, making his way down Conrod Straight. So they obviously decided it's going to be one run. They fueled it for one run because fuel weight is critical in GT cars, particularly here at Mount Panorama as you climb up and down the mountain. So as little fuel as possible, they decided we're going to do this with one set of tyres, one run, and back our man in. He's delivering to this point. It might not be the fastest, but it's going to get him in the game.
2 tenths down so far on Lauren Heinrich's excellent 202.38. And who knows, that may end up being the benchmark. That's the beauty of this qualifying format. We don't know. Well, it's better than that.
Wow.
He's 2 tenths up with a mighty final sector. And a 202.1 puts the Austrian, who is the nephew of Gerhard Berger, Formula One star, puts him to the top by 2 tenths of a second.
And he might get another lap here in terms of the performance potential from the Pirelli tyres.
He's only done one push lap,
yeah.
So expect that he'll at least complete the first sector and see how that goes on. But talk about confidence in your man and confidence in your car. Like, they held that as deep as you can hold it in this session before showing their hand, and they've done a nice job. So still yet to be determined whether 202.17 is good enough to make the top 10. But certainly giving themselves the best shot.
It's a pretty good hand.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good hand. It's certainly a very good benchmark for the remaining 17 cars to target and look at for the remainder of it, as Bryce Fullwood punches out at 203.1 and goes 8th in the Aston Martin.
Lauren Heinrich out of the car for Bamba Motorsport. A quick word, just your lap, and how happy were you with that performance to hopefully remain into the top 10 later today?
Yeah, hopefully we can remain in the top 10. I mean, for sure our goal was to be in the other qualifying, right? But we still yet to find out if it's enough, you know, to make it into the top 10 shootout, which is our goal. But we made a positive step on the car. I think still we need to do some fine-tuning. The lap itself, I think it was not too bad. I mean, it's always such a joy, you know, in qualifying trim to qualify a 911 around here. It's once a year, you know, you get this special feeling, and it's such a pleasure to be the one chosen to do this. So I hope we can have another shot later in the top 10.
Mate, thank you for your chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, he's a superstar. Is his lap time good enough? I don't know about the Porsche driver, but this lap from Lucas Hour could be, because he's gone purple, quickest of anybody in the first sector, personal best in the middle. Could we see a lap time in the 201s for the first time this weekend? Down towards the final corner, and to get to the start-finish line, Lucas Hour, there's improvement, and he's in the ones. The 201.97, good benchmark.
Ferrari coming through behind is going to jump up as well, and that's up to third for the prancing horse. And the tangerine shades of orange and white Seagull sponsored car, that is a very, very decent effort for Ryan Wood as well. And in fact, Jackson Evans has just gone through and eclipsed him in the other Ferrari.
They're not holding back now, guys, because there's no time left to hold back. You have to actually show your hands and do your thing if you want to get yourself into the Pirelli pole battle at the end of today. Ryan Wood has the fastest middle sector, so that's the run across the top of the mountain. 30.9 is actually 3 tenths faster than Lucas Hour's middle sector, so shows you how the Ferrari's making its lap time. High downforce, big commitment across the top of the mountain, but potentially giving up a bit of straight line speed up the mountain and then back down Conrod.
And if there's one thing Ryan Wood's not short of, it's commitment. And while we've been talking over the weekend about the fact that a lot of these drivers are race fit and battle-hardened from endurance racing, Ryan Wood has been doing a different style of racing. He spent the last month in New Zealand in Formula Regional Oceania, what was the Toyota Racing Series.
Control to pit exit, 30 seconds.
That's the voice of James Taylor, the race director upstairs in Motorsport Australia Race Control. And Woody racing against a bunch of really talented, fast Formula One hopefuls was very impressive. Won the Denny Hole Memorial Trophy at Topor, a couple of race wins, and was in the top 5 in the championship. So he is sharp, he is ready to go. All of it building towards a Repco Supercars Championship campaign this year, but he is super fast in a GT3 car as well.
Checkered flag, close pit exit.
So
Pit exit is now closed.
checker flag is out. Ryan Wood looking to complete this lap. He's done a very good middle sector again, but it's the first sector that's costing him his lap time. It's 4/10 behind Lucas Auer just to climb up the mountain. So he's doing a mega job across the top, but it's not quite getting up there that as quick as he'd like. You can see the commitment, using every bit of road on the exit. Beats his teammate. 2:02.524 versus Jackson Evans 2:02.553. I hazard a guess and say that those two are getting every little bit they can out of those Ferraris. Oh, Renault, he is super wide at McPhillamy. And I dare say that he may just put this one in the rack. He's rolled right out of it because you don't get in the grey there often and get away with it.
Sharp intake of breath. One of the twins driving that beautiful Hebert Motorsport car. Checking to see if anyone else on a lap. I think that session just about done. So Ryan Wood, the big improver, right at the end. Have Ferrari done enough to get them in the mix? This is the moment.
Oh, just when he turned in over the crest on the entry to McPhillamy, the car didn't respond. And he opened the steering wheel, because if you attack the steering and turn it in even sharper, it just swaps ends as the car goes over that hump. So lives to fight another day, does that beautiful 991 Porsche. And wow, yeah. Not often you get away with that stuff, Rich.
Well, yeah, it's about the best way to explain that kind of a moment at the top. Here's the results from qualifying one at the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour. A 2:01.9 has to be an impressive benchmark. What a lap from Lucas Auer and the Mercedes-AMG team, Craft Bamboo Racing. Porsche next, Ferrari third and fourth. Is it good enough to make the Pirelli pole battle? Polls decided here. The IRC, or the Invitational class, Glenn Wood on pole in the KTM. Darren Curry second there, and Kunze in the GT4 car was the only GT4 car in the class, and as such has got pole position there. That's the leaderboard in Quali 1. Let's go down to Airfoil's pit lane with Shay.
2 times it's been Mauro Engel who's come home with the pole award, and his name is still at the bottom of the timing screen every single session as the fastest man ever around this place. Mauro, please tell me this is just tire strategy. You're just holding back. There's nothing wrong with the Mercedes.
No, we would have loved to have a go and have a crack. Qualifying around here is special, but unfortunately we had a power-related issue, so yeah, we just have to investigate now and make sure we get everything right for tomorrow.
When you're sitting in the garage watching other Mercedes going fast as well, does that give you confidence in the car knowing that it can do it, or does it just make it that much worse knowing that it should have been you doing it?
No, it's good to see, and Luke has obviously been quick here last year, and it's good to see that those guys are quick, and we'll be rooting for them now in qualifying. Obviously wishing we'd be a part of it, but such is life, such is racing. We'll find the issue, no doubt. We have a strong team, and then we'll dust ourselves off and be ready for tomorrow.
Good luck tomorrow, Mauro.
Thank you.
And as he well knows, it's only been 2 times in the last 13 years that the pole winner has gone on to win the race, Chad.
Yes, just ask Lucas Auer about that from last year, who's standing alongside me right now. That was a really nice lap. Can you talk us through the strategy about leaving it late there, Lucas?
So basically we took the risk. We wanted to do the lap time at the end with maximum track evolution, and we knew if there's a red flag, I mean, that's how it is. But now we did a good time, and it will be interesting if it's actually enough to be in Super Bowl, because the second group usually is quicker.
Yeah, do you feel like that improving track evolution will ultimately bring your demise here?
Normally, yes, but let's see what will happen. The car felt good, the team did a super job, so I cannot complain, and the rest we'll see.
Yeah, the initial D Mercedes-AMG looks fantastic, mate. Well done, and maybe we'll see you later today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Chad with Lucas Auer, pole position winner here last year. Can he fight again for the Alan Simonson Pole Award? He's a super driver, runner-up in the DTM, the German Touring Car Championship, and huge amount of success in global GT racing as well. 2:01.9715 is the benchmark time that 17 of the fastest cars are going to try and beat in qualifying 2, which is coming up very soon. Here's how the highlights played out. Qualifying 1 at the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour. Garth Tander, John Hindhoff. Exciting session. I mean, it's a fair benchmark, isn't it? To get into the ones, it puts you in the conversation.
It was actually a 2:01.89 that was the pole position prior to the pole battle last year. David Russell aboard the number 47 Superbarn Supermarkets. AMG Mercedes having a big moment in the S's on the run from Skyline down to the Dipper. Lauren Heinrich in the Bamba Motorsport Porsche was very fast very early, and we thought his time was going to be the benchmark. A lot of cars came to the lane for a second set of tyres. The commitment level rose as the session went on. The curious case of Maro Engel and the 888 Mercedes continues to play out. An issue with that car will see the fastest man ever around here in qualifying start from deep in the field. The Ferraris started to show their hand, but ultimately Lucas Auer did it when it mattered.
Yeah, and Ryan Wood right at the very end got that car to third position, the Ziggo Sport Tempesta with ARGT car. The Porsche, Lauren Heinrich threw everything he could at it, ended up second. Is that going to be enough to get through to the 10 in the Pirelli pole battle? But in the end, the 31-year-old Austrian did the job. 2 minutes, 1 second, .9715. A lap time everyone will be chasing in qualifying number 2. That is coming your way very soon from the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hour and Mount Panorama in Bathurst. A short pause, but on the way to that, what a season we've got coming your way. And the Repco Supercars Championship kicks off in anger next week.
25 drivers, refreshed, recharged and ready.
The 2026 Supercars Championship calendar is finally here with 14 rounds kicking off at SMP Feb 20 to 22nd.
Oh my goodness, it's been a change!
When we step through, that's gold.
Whatever happened to you after SMP, Cam?
Come on, mate.
And with the debut of a new manufacturer too joining the series, we're throwing the gates open for everyone for free on Friday.
Then it's the world stage for the Australian Grand Prix from March 5th to 8th.
Watch out for Matt Payne, mate.
Kiwis, we heard you. We're coming back.
Back to back.
That's it, our first New Zealand double header. First at Taupō on the 10th to 12th of April, and then down to Christchurch on the 17th to 19th.
Then we're over the Bass Strait and into Simmons Plains for the 22nd to 24th of May.
Oi, Randall, watch out for that line, big fella. Then we trade the cool for the heat in Darwin on June 19 to 21st.
Hopefully not too much heat, champ.
Then we head to the far north for Townsville from July 10 to 12.
Hey, good's Townsville, eh?
Been good for us, eh?
And a new name gets added to the winners list in Townsville.
Then we head out to the Wild West, Perth, from the 31st of July to the 2nd of August.
And then we're off to Queensland Raceway on the 21st to the 23rd of August. Home track advantage.
Now that's the Spring Cup wrapped up. Now we head into Enduros at the Bend on September 11th to 13th.
Then it's on to the big one, Bathurst, from the 8th to the 11th of October. Kangaroos, burnouts, and of course beers.
See the potential.
Hey, did you ever apologise to Kai?
No.
And then, well, we're here.
Where we hit the streets of surface for the start of the finals.
And the eliminations begin. And then we head to Melbourne for the second time for the Sandown 500. Then it all wraps up for the grand final in Adelaide.
Where we crown our champion.
It's heating up.
And we can't wait.
See you in 2026.
Instant influential.
So we'll drop that.
I still think Brock for pole, but Chazzy wins the race.
Oh, yes, do that. Well, it might be Australia's oldest inland settlement, but there is modern charm sprinkled all around the great town of Bathurst, 3 hours west of Sydney. And there's lots to do in this part of the world, whether it be traversing the city streets and finding the little golden nuggets that lie on every corner of this beautiful location, or out to the incredible countryside. You can never go wrong with the amazing, beautiful town of Bathurst out here, just near the Blue Mountains. On the other side of the Blue Mountains, under the cloudy skies, you'll find another little settlement of campsites, because we're racing here for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hour. It's all about Pirelli qualifying today. Shay, first session done. We now move to what were the quicker cars from practice earlier today, and there are some big heavy hitters to line up in this one, hoping to get into that top 10.
There are, and that's going to be the big question. Is the weather going to hold off? Is the sun going to come out? Is the track going to slow down?
Yeah.
That's what we have to wait and find out. But some of the cars we're keeping an eye on include that number 55 Audi, because Christopher Haase does magical things on this mountain. He's yet to ever win it. Got his first ever podium the last time that he raced here back in 2024. He's never gotten a pole, though. Is that about to change?
Well, that car has looked very quick. It's top practice session so far this weekend. Garth Tander was talking about the wind direction favouring the cars that are quick across the top, particularly in a Skyline, and that is where that Audi has been the fastest, that second sector. He's sharing that car this weekend with Will Brown. And Brad Schumacher, who's a local Pro-Am driver here this weekend, but competing in Pro Outright, is going to be a pretty big task for them. Speaking of some supercars drivers, that all-Aussie lineup in car 222, the Scott Taylor Motorsport car. It was very quick earlier today in practice. You could put any one of those guys in the car to qualify. They could be very quick today.
Well, and I think it's going to be Cam Waters, because we've seen Chazzy Mostert and Tom Randall in thongs and shorts walking around and hanging out with the fans a bit. But no, that car is definitely full of potential. The Aussie favorite, they came in, they wanted to do this. They've wanted to win this race for a long time. And they know that today is just qualifying, but still, if you're in the top 11, statistically, you stand a chance at winning. Technically, you win if you're just in the field.
You've got to get in there. We have heard that Cam Waters is aboard the 222 Scott Taylor Motorsport car, just like you were hinting towards. And you've had some confirmation of another main Australian driver further down the field in the Sol Ford, who's going to be starting that car for this one.
That's Mr. B. Feeney.
B. Feeney. Now, he has been able to compete with the very best. You go back to that year where we saw Mauro Engel so nearly break through to the 159 bracket. Who was right there with him? Brock.
It was Brock Feeney. And the exciting thing is he just started driving this car yesterday. It was his first ever opportunity. He's already been chosen over 2 overall winners with whom he shares the car, Christopher Mies and Dennis Olsen. They have a lot of faith, does Ford and Brock Feeney, and rightfully so.
Yeah, that is an all-star lineup for that one. Brock Feeney and the Blue Oval, a new partnership that we're going to see a lot more of here on Aussie soil. Ready for this second qualifying session. Are we going to get back into the ones? Is that time of Lucas Auer going to remain inside the top 10? Last year's pole sitter, could he be on the bubble to get bumped out of this one? Let's go qualifying thanks to Pirelli. We'll go back upstairs.
Race control to pit exit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open pit exit, please.
And so the second 30-minute part of qualifying to determine the 10 contenders that will battle for the coveted Alan Simonson Pole Award, which is a trophy every driver, whether they knew him, raced against him or not, wants to win. Will Brown and Brad Schumacher watching on from the JMEC Racing Team MPC garage. They've got Christopher Haase behind the wheel. Garth, you've raced with Chris Haase. I'd be pretty comfortable knowing that he's got the job to qualify car 55.
Yeah. So when you saw the schedule, you would have said at 1:50 on Saturday afternoon, I do not need to be in my driving suit, because that's Chris Haase's job. So, yeah, very, very fast in the Audi. He's been here a lot in this car with this team. Knows everything he needs to know about getting the most out of that car, and where he excels in that car is the run across the top of the mountain. If he will be in that contender for the fastest middle sector.
If you are following along online, whether you're here at the circuits or further afield, because there is live timing via the Bathurst 12-hour site for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hours, then you will note that what will happen in this session is the previous 17 cars will stay on the screen, and their times stand right now. At the end of this session, in 28.5 minutes' time, the top 10 will go on to fight for pole position in the Pirelli pole battle. So as the times change, we will still have those original times from that bottom 50%. So right now, they're still in with a shout.
effectively the cars on track now have to bump the other guys out.
Correct.
That's exactly how it works. Yeah. So as it stands right now, the top 10 is set. It's up to these cars, who are theoretically the faster cars based on practice 6 times, to come along and bump them back out again. So that's why we're curious about the lap times of Lucas Auer in particular, 2:01.9, and Lauren Heinrich, a 2:02.3, whether those 2 lap times can stand the test of these 17 cars and whether they're capable of bumping their way in.
And there are some great stories up and down this field. And I'd argue that perhaps the driver of car number 100 is one of them. 2-time Bathurst 1000 winner Will Davison is part of this squad, but it's Kai Allen who's been given the job to qualify the Penrite Racing, Grove Racing Mercedes AMG GT3, making his GT3 debut in Australia and in this race this weekend. So this is a really cool opportunity, Chad, for the young man from Mount Gambier to strut his stuff on the world stage.
You're not wrong. I had a chat to the CEO of the team and a driver this weekend at Brenton Grove. Why'd you throw the keys to Kai? Well, he's been the fastest this weekend, but he didn't get a chance to qualify recently when he ran in Dubai alongside Jules Gounon. So this is their chance. They've been able to pit him against the best in Australia. How will he go against the best in the world?
I don't know that I've ever seen co-drivers this calm as we're going into a session where it's qualifying. There's a lot on the line. Brad Schumacher and Will Brown, you guys are just chilling. Ultimate faith in your co-driver?
Yeah, definitely. He's been doing a fantastic job. We get the easy part. We just watch and hopefully he does really well, and then we celebrate and act like we helped him out. But it's been really good. The car seems to be fast. I guess you never know what games everyone's playing, but generally now is when everyone starts measuring and putting the laps down. So we'll see what happens.
Brad, I know you want this overall win, but how much would you like to be able to have an Alan Simonson pole award for your car too?
Yeah, it would be nice to have both, obviously. So, look, it's one thing to get the pole position award, but that's certainly not going to play up to winning the Bathurst 12 Hour. So, we send Husser out here. He's super experienced with the Audi, and he's been here many a time. So we feel like he's the best chance to get a good result for the team. And we've been really strong across all practice sessions. So high hopes here in the Audi team.
I'm surprised there's no bruise around or anything. I'm going to go find the popcorn so we can watch and see what Huss Dog does.
Sounds good. Bring some back if you find it.
Ever the chilled out, relaxed 2024 Repco Supercar champion Will Brown, just chilling out. He's another one of those drivers that have become a pretty handy exponent behind the wheel of a GT3 car. So the question is, what can Chris Haase do? And as John explained just before, the target is there in front of him. 2 minute, 1 second, 0.97. That is the benchmark time to go and chase.
Kyle coming to the line. He has done a warm-up lap. He's done a preparation lap. We saw him weaving at the start of the previous lap. And here we go. The first one to open up a proper push lap for the run up Mountain Straight. And used every bit of tarmac that was available and a little bit more on the backside of the curb as you make your one up the mountain. You can see stays to the middle of the track because the bumps right at the crest there now are significant enough that we've seen some cars bottoming out quite heavily and sparking as they go over there. That'll be spectacular tomorrow morning when we get started. With lots of sparks there. So he's still warming the tyre. So this lap's not going to be a 100%er, as we call it in the game. Still looking to weave, so not 100% happy with the feel of the tyre. The drivers have a readout on the dash that gives them their tyre pressures and temperatures. So the drivers have a lot of information and they know the tyre window, temperature window and the pressure window they need to have the tyre. So when it's working at its optimum. So Kai's already decided the exit of turn 2, tyre's not where I need it. Do a bit more work to have it ready.
51.8 was his first sector. The best sector time of qualifying so far is a 50.1, which was, predictably, Lucas Auer. So 0.7 of a second down in the first split. This might not be the lap. The interesting thing, John, last year in the Pirelli pole battle, Auer went out, went bang, put it on pole, parked it, all done in one lap. It seems like it's just taking a little bit longer to build up. Different tyre running compared to last year. They're just taking that extra lap. Auer in qualifying part 1 did an out lap, then a push lap, and then another push lap, and that was the money lap. So one extra lap relative to the job he did to get outright pole last year.
I was going to say, I like the variety of noise that we have from the cars, but also the cars are warming the tyres differently this time, because Lauren Heinrich, he did an out, a push, a push, a cool, and a push. to get his time in the Porsche, the number 61.
One of the things that's also very different from this time 12 months ago is it's much cooler today.
Yeah,
so the ambient temperature and the track temperature were much higher last year, so that enables you to switch that tyre on to get the tyre temperature that you need right at the start of the lap. To get to the, Kai tipped it in with too much entry speed. The front tucked in nicely, but the rear couldn't keep up. It just danced its way to the apex at turn 1. So
yeah, that'd have been fine at Phillip Island on a World Superbike next weekend, but not here.
That's for sure. So not a tidy start to this one.
Other drivers to watch. Lee Holdsworth is behind the wheel of the Hallmark Property Group Audi. He's sharing with his good mates Dean Fiore and Mark Sini, the most experienced combination racing together in the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Factory young Lamborghini ace Marco Mappelli is behind the wheel of the Lamborghini Huracan. This car was in the top 5 in practice earlier today. It was very, very rapid and in the mid-202s.
This will be good to watch, this guy in this car. Full maximum attack, new tyre, light fuel. Car always looks animated when Marco's at the wheel. He's got that Italian flair about it, the way he drives the race car. And he is not short of commitment.
His first sector about 3/10 down on Lucas Hour's best. So this is somewhere in the ballpark. He's sharing this car with Tony D'Alberto, who was very rapid earlier in practice today, with Grant Denyer, who is pretty high on life today. He's gone quicker in a GT3 car than he ever has. And Adrian Dietz, who is the man responsible for putting all of this together. And they've won their class in GT3, the race within a race, the last 2 years. So they're trying for 3 in a row.
Yeah, remember, we're going to lose the V10 from the Lamborghini as well that we were listening to earlier on. The new Temerario will be a V8. Car makes its debut in about a month's time on the international stage over at Sebring for the 12 hours there. And we've still got over 20 minutes to go. We're not getting excited. We're being very calm and considered, just like down in the lane and everybody waiting there. These are not necessarily the money laps we're looking at the moment. Just for the sake of probity, Marco Mappelli, who is the fastest of this group, is up to 12th now from the times that we saw earlier on, but with 20 minutes remaining. So let's watch the journey.
Remember, in that first session, when the cars were cold in the slower 50% group, it took every part of 15 minutes before we really started seeing those Hollywood lap times. So don't forget, these cars are cold as well, so there's the warm-up procedure of getting the tyre up to temperature, but also the brakes, the tyre, the engine, the gearbox, the hubs. Cars go a lot faster when they're warm. All the tolerances free up, and the cars travel down the straights a lot faster too once they're up to temperature.
Having said that, Scott Andrews has just gone 5th on his first flying lap with 202.6. So the first driver bumped out of the 10 already is Ben Green in the 99 JMR Corvette. This is Alex Peroni, the young Tasmanian, behind the wheel. First push lap was decent at a 203.4. This one better, goes 4th, 202.5. He's in the top 10 now as well. The Team BRM and Marco Mappelli flying. Purple first sector means quicker than anybody in the session so far.
Purple first sector by a mile. 50.0 is some serious Hollywood lap time, and you can see the car's a whole lot more animated than it was this time 2 minutes ago. He comes off Forest Elbow. He's about 0.2 of a second away from Ryan Wood's fastest middle sector in the Ferrari across the top of the mountain. There's Grant Denyer watching on, who will share this car with Marco Mappelli. And he was a very excited man earlier in the day when he finished, jumped out of the car and pulled his helmet off. Will he be as excited when Marco Mappelli finishes this lap?
Mappelli brought across his engineer from Lamborghini. They've found a few tweaks, and Grant Denyer's done his fastest lap in this car around the mountain earlier on the day. Is this going to be one of the real stories coming to the line? The red and white wall Lamborghini goes up to second position on the overall with a 2 minutes 2.04. Krillsy's just laughing.
The golf clap from Grant Denyer, because I think he was about to burst out by going top, but then they went second by 0.07 of a second. So just switched it to the polite ripple of applause rather than the cheer that might have happened. That's a very nice lap. Remember, we're looking for the top 10 drivers to progress forward to the Pirelli pole battle this afternoon. The grid positions this qualifies you for is 11th back, so we'll track that throughout the course of the session as well.
Just having left the pit lane, 2020 pole winner Matt Campbell is aboard his Porsche. Following him out, the brother of the 2024 pole sitter, Sheldon van der Linde, that would be Kelvin, rolled out of the pits a moment ago, and getting strapped into the number 46 BMW is 2019 pole winner Raffaele Marciello. Guys, this is about to get a whole lot more interesting in the next few minutes.
Yeah, basically what you're saying, Shay, is you ain't seen nothing yet. And Cam Waters is on a very good lap. Personal bests, and then session best in the middle, and session best lap time at 201.88. So 800ths quicker than Lucas Auer went in qualifying one.
The big moment coming out of the chase did Cam Waters aboard the 222 Mercedes. So there's potentially a little bit more lap time in that car. Here's Kai Allen making his way past Ryder Quinn in the Quinn family Audi R8. Allen down into the chase. This car currently 10th, and he's on a couple of personal best sectors, so he'll be looking to finish this one off. Coming up behind the Tsunami RT Porsche, who's about to start a lap. You'll see those lights flash a whole lot more from a whole lot more cars as this session goes on. Most used button in a GT car is the flasher. Allen improves a 202.5 to 8th. That's probably not going to be enough. They'll need to find a little bit more.
If you add all of the fastest sectors up, there is a 201.4 out there at the moment. The best we have is a 201.8. The question is, how many of the second set of cars are going to pull their way through and therefore bump those first group of cars outside the top 10?
So it's still 16.5 minutes remaining in this session. So if you have already done a run and you've already got a time on the board, there is time to come to the lane and grab another set of tyres. There are a whole heap of cars that we have heard from that are only going to do the Lucas Auer strategy, one run and done. And I dare say this is one of them, with Raffaele Marciello aboard the 46 BMW M4. And you look how slow he's going. Very, very different to what we've seen from some of the other cars for their tyre preparation.
But also, Garth, these guys who've left it a little bit later, those who are going in now, who might be putting another set on, we're clearing the field a little bit. There's far fewer cars going to be out on the mountain when these guys get their Pirellis into the operating window.
Yeah, 100%. So here comes Waters back to the lane. So curious to see whether, given he's fastest right now, whether they spend another set of tyres. Kelvin van der Linde above the number 32 BMW. He heads out as well. So a very deliberate strategy from BMW, setting their cars at the same time effectively, maybe quarter of a lap apart.
Matt Campbell's just started a push lap. Jaden Ojeda is on a push lap, the young man from the west of Sydney, who will be splitting duties in the Repco Supercars Championship and as a Mercedes AMG performance driver this year. So twice the fun for the man they call the Juice. And what is this lap time? Currently 18th and stays 18th, the 203.21. Just gradually improving for Tigani Motorsport, team based down in Wollongong. So Waters, Auer, who survives from qualifying one. Mapelli third in pit lane. Andrews fourth, and leading the Pro-Am ranks. Then Lauren Heinrich and Ryan Wood, who have so far survived from qualifying number one. Peroni is seventh, Kai Allen eighth, then Evans and O'Keefe. So Dylan O'Keefe 10th at the moment at a 202.76. And I can reasonably confidently say, gents, that there is no way that lap time stands up to get you into the Pirelli pole battle, given what is yet to come.
No, haven't seen anything from the BMWs. All three BMWs have not fired a shot yet. Lucas Stoltz is aboard the number 75 Sun Energy 1 AMG Mercedes. That car will be in the game. So, yes, still more to play out in this one. Interested spectator watching on, 1V Rossi,
who promised in a media interview that should he win on what will be the last day before he turns 47,
so still as a 46-year-old,
still
significant number.
Basically promised to shout the town on Saturday night was what I gathered out of this interview. Chris Haase very wide on the exit of the Scuderia Auto Art RPM chase. And that would explain why we haven't seen a good lap time from that car yet.
Have not seen a lap time from this car either. Rockfini. It's done a 4.5, but it's certainly not a representative lap time of what this car's capable of. So that's another one that you'd expect based on the time that Brock did in practice 6 to get him in the game. Oh no, this is an issue. It's still got the sticker on it. So this is a car that's just left pit lane on a brand new tyre, and there are 3 wheels on its wagon. It's the Penrite AMG Mercedes. So Kai Allen heading up Mountain Straight.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
13 minutes remaining in the session. All cars will return to the lane, and this is going to cause some stress for several drivers who are yet to set a representative lap time. So the clock ticks, so there's 10 minutes of red flag stoppage time in the session. So essentially it means the session can be extended by up to 10 minutes. After that, the clock will continue to count down.
Literally coming out of the pit lane, the left rear wheel and Pirelli tyre decides to go its own way. Never a good day when different parts of your car are doing different sector times.
But that sign was insured by Shannon's.
Oh, nice, Rich, nice.
Like what you did there.
Needs to fair policy claim there. It has not survived this session. So fortunately, there's an access road just a couple of 100 metres up Mountain Straight there, the Mountain Straight Gate, which is the entry to the paddock campgrounds here at Mount Panorama. It should be a reasonably speedy recovery.
Well, you're not going to want to drag that car in, though, on 3 wheels, so I'm curious to see how they recover this one. So Kai Allen awaiting further instructions. So here's the team. So this is the other side of the car. Make their way around. Standard procedure so far. New wheel coming on.
And it's not hurried. You know,
wheels done up. So
there's no hurry here because this isn't a racing pit stop per se.
No, but we heard the gun rattle it up. So whether it's actually the wheel is actually seated correctly, but it looks like there's enough spindles sitting out of the nut there that usually you would have. But ultimately, the end result here is that the wheel came off. So something's failed somewhere, whether it wasn't done up tight enough or there is an issue deeper in the mechanics of that rear hub.
Now, what I'd quite like to see is if the wheel nut was still captured in the rim.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been there, you know. It's difficult to see. I didn't see it fly off as he came through the left-hander at the end of the pit lane. Sometimes you'll see the single wheel nut spin off. I didn't see that there. So it's either in the pit lane or it's jammed onto the rim.
Now, just watching Grant McPherson sort of lead the troops here. I'm going to get his quick thoughts here once he tells everyone what the plan is. They had a really good look at the replay sequence down here at Penrite Racing, and I couldn't tell if they were able to really understand what had happened. Then, Grant, you had a good look at the replays. Did you figure out why that happened?
I think we're going to need to see the parts when it gets back because, yeah, as you saw on the video, the nut looked tight and seated. So, yeah, still a bit to understand there.
Was any word from Kai as to what he felt?
No, he just knew that it fell off, but it didn't get very far, so it's pretty confusing. Yeah.
Now you can, by the rules, put the car back into the session, but do you think it's going to be possible in logistics-wise here?
Oh, I don't know that we'll get it back in time. We'll see. Like we'll try and do what we can, but we'll also try and work out what happened before we send it unsafe.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you get back to leading the troops. A bad break for Penrite Racing. The irony here is for both cars that finished the Bathurst 1000, they were very lucky to avoid things like that happening with some of the dramas on those cars that just crept towards the finish line.
Not ideal was the phrase used by Jordan Pepper when we were talking about the red flag. Jordan, for BMW, you guys didn't get out there and set a representative time yet. The red clock time is ticking away. But how do you motivate Kelvin that little bit extra now that he really does have to go?
No, look, luckily in this championship, I think it's frozen, the time, so there's still 30 minutes to go. He wasn't really on a push lap yet. He was starting his first push lap, so probably not too much taken out the tyre. We've seen over the weekend that this new tyre takes a little bit longer to get up to speed, so it's not too much of a negative. Obviously, the intensity goes up a bit. We obviously got only 30 minutes left, but luckily there's enough time to get out there, find a good space, and he's been really good this weekend. So I have all the faith in the world in him and the team. Yeah, it's going to be a tight top 10, but I'm sure we have enough to get in. If not, I've won the race from outside the 10 before, so it should be good either way.
Yeah, last time was P11. You were the exception on that rule that we've been talking about. But for Kelvin, I mean, his brother has won the pole award before. Have you gotten on the radio and said, hey, Sheldon did it? How hard can it be?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we worry about later if we get into the 10. So let's see. But so far, so good. The vibes is really good with Calvin and Charles. I think we formed a really good bond really early on. And it's, just been an enjoyable weekend so far. What a beautiful place to be in. And just to see all the fans get out there and support, it's really cool. And for sure, we got an iconic throwback. Well, it's kind of based off an art car livery here, which is holding a lot of representation to BMW M, 40 years of BMW M3. So very special to have an Australian heritage livery here as well. So it's cool, and hopefully that's enough to get it done this weekend.
Still big smiles down here in the Team WRT garage, guys.
So there is the Tsunami Porsche getting pushed back towards pit lane, and to the right-hand side, we've got this army of Mercedes AMG cars that are all parked up, which includes the Sun Energy 75 team, which for the last few years have been so competitive on the podiums. Now, you would expect with a gun like Jules Gounon, one of the very best in the world, that you'd plug him in for these sessions. But as I've seen the last couple of years, they've not been afraid to throw the keys towards Lucas Stolz and Kenny Habul, not down here at the garage at the moment. But that does mean that Jules Gounon is inside this garage area. Let's go and see if we can pinch a penny for his thoughts from the Andorran, who has been very kind in letting his good buddy have a run here in qualifying for the last few years. He's putting in some additives to keep the fluids up. Hello, Jules. We figured Red Flag would come and say g'day. Haven't had a chance to say hello to you yet. This is a common theme. You like this track more than just about anyone on the earth. It must be killing you to hand the car over to your good buddy right now.
No, because Luca, I know Luca very well. We know each other since 2016. He will do a super job. And at the end, endurance racing is also about sharing the good job. Let's say quali is an amazing time of the weekend. The last stint is an amazing time of the weekend. I've been lucky to always do, let's say, the money time at the end. So it will not be fair to your teammate if you always have the glory and the nice moments and he has to do the heavy work during the day. So we always share a bit. So at least, you know, it's nice for both of us.
Nice, mate. I appreciate that. 1 minute away from the green flag. Was that a bad red flag for you guys?
Yeah, actually, yes, because we waited. We did a heat soak to optimize quali, as all the Mercedes do. Here we are just going flat out. They all want to have pole position, looks like. So not ideal for us, but there is 13 minutes to go, so it should be okay for us.
Is your buddy Max Verstappen going to watch after testing's done?
Maybe. I'm sure he's watching. He loves GT racing. He's a big motorsport fan, and he loves this place. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's watching.
On you, mate. Thanks.
So, time remaining 13 minutes and 6 seconds, as long as that red flag stop time doesn't get to 0. If that gets to 0, we start counting down that 13 minutes and 6 seconds. But race control says we will be back underway before then. But Rich, if we were to have another red flag, we don't get another 10 minutes.
No, that is it.
It would be what was remaining there, 2 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever it was.
Correct, 10 minutes maximum. So if there's another red flag, that's when it becomes stressy. So it's now very important to go and set a lap time. It's big to unpick from those 3 little pieces we had down there in pit lane. One of them was the Tsunami RT Porsche with its very vibrant livery. Little quirk in the regulations that here at this race, when a red flag is flown, you must stop at your garage at 45 degrees. Some races around the world, you're allowed to go and queue up at pit exit. That is not the case here. So that team were very firmly told that they needed to get that car back down to their garage and park at 45 degrees.
In their defence, I think that car was already transiting the pit lane when the red came out.
Fair cop. Thank you, Chad. So here we go. Now there's a bit more pressure because another red flag adds some peril, and that red flag clock stopped at 2 minutes and 34 seconds. So it's important now for a whole bunch of some of the world's best racing car drivers to go and set a lap time. 75 Express just leaving a little bit of track position for Lucas Stolz to go out. Nice of Jules Gounon to give his buddy the hero laps. I like the reference, if you haven't watched the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour before, Jules said Luca does all the heavy lifting on Sunday. And what he means by that is that traditionally in their 2 wins, a second and a third they've had in the last 4 years, it's Lucas Stolz who does that. The grinding stints in the middle of the day, pounding round and round and round relentlessly. Gounon then gets in at the end and does all the hero stuff, and generally gets them on the podium. So that's what he means by that comment, is that just a little bit of a treat for Luca to have Mount Panorama almost to himself and extract the most performance he can out of car 75.
And it was also curious to hear from Jules Gounon that he said, we went out, did one lap, and we came and we parked and we did the heat soak. And that is, we went out and got temperature into the car, and some of those tyres that we're going to use, we didn't stress the tyre, but the heat soak is from the brakes. So we're warming up, using the car to warm the tyres up. So when you go back out again at the end of the session, they're already at 40, 50 degrees. You're not having to do too much work to get them up to temperature.
Guys, I haven't seen this before. I'm in the Penrite Racing garage and there's nobody here. They're not out there in the pit lane. They're not here in the garage. Where could they be? Check this out. I've not actually seen any team really try and attempt this before. Now, Kai Allen's back in the pit area right now. The car is just coming back off the flatbed and they have set everything up behind the garage. They've got some pretty interesting onlookers. Fresh Pirelli P0s to go. We've got brake rotors standing by and all the rattle guns have been dragged out to the back. Never seen this one before.
Well, Chad, and the rules for this race are if you bring out a red flag, your fastest lap time is deleted, but you can resume the session. So are they going to have a go at this?
Yeah, and the reason they have done this at the back of the garage is because when you set your garage up, you always go in the front of the garage and out the front of the garage. So you always set your toolboxes up and your monitors and all the rest of it. So you effectively can't drive through the garage. So they always deliver the car to the back of the garage like they do here. So actually what they have done is jack the car up. They're doing the work on the back of the tilt tray, put the wheels on it, roll it off, and if there's time, drive it out the back of the paddock. Not a bad idea.
I like it. Good work.
I think there's some damage on that hub, this blind hub.
Yeah, some of the guys from AMG Mercedes are here as well, are having a look at what's going on.
They'll have been worried about the brake disc being on.
Yeah, so that's why there's a rotor there. I think that we're starting to see what the issue was, and these are all the internals from the spindle. And potentially this is why, and we heard Grant McPherson, who's the technical director at Grove Racing, say we're not going to send the car unless it's safe. So
the good news is that all the locator pins for the back of the wheel are still there on the face plate. So that's very good. Nothing's broken off there. But they are having to work on that centre splined or centre threaded area of the hub.
Shay Adam.
Guys, you might be able to see on the screens that the 222 car has come back into the pit lane, but this is not necessarily session done. Cameron Waters has stayed aboard the Mercedes. He's waiting to see if his lap time that he set earlier, the 2:01, is going to be good enough, or if maybe the benchmark is going to be lower, because as we pointed out just before that red flag, there are some heavy hitters yet to set decent lap times. Cameron is doing that heat soak that Mercedes likes even more. Maybe there is more pace from this STM Mercedes yet to come.
And Krelsey, you said you'd be surprised if Dylan O'Keefe's time stood up when he was in 10th position. Of course, now he's in 9th position because there's a lap time that's been eradicated. So it's Kai Allen who's now on the bubble in 10th position in the Mercedes number 100. 2:02.7 is the time to get in, and Chris Haase is 0.0111 away from being in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, but we've got Van der Linde in 29th, Marciello in 30th,
and
Max Hesser in 33rd. There's some big names that are going to fire a shot very soon.
And Matt Campbell's out there too, and yet to fire. Interestingly, Haase straight out first push lap after the red flag, bang, 2:02.79, right into the mix, and is going on with it again to work his way in. Gee, this would be a big story to get this car back out. Still 7 minutes to go, so there's time.
Probably not enough time for actual tyre prep though.
No.
Remember, Kai was leaving pit lane on a brand new tyre, so they're going to need to do the tyre warm-up as well. It's not like that tyre got warm enough to get any sort of heat soak to take place while they're turning the car around and getting it back on track, hopefully. Cam Waters back on track though, so he was doing his heat soak. Just under 7 minutes left in this one, so plenty of time for Waters to get at least 2 push laps in.
So right now you need to do a 2:02.78 or better to get yourself into the Pirelli pole battle. The top 10 cars that will fight it out for 15 minutes to fight for the Alan Simonsen Pole Award. And Will Brown is cheering on his vastly experienced German teammate who's right on the painted white line before he turns the car into the final corner. He's 11th at the moment. He goes to the top with a 2:01.88. Chris Haase locks himself in, surely, to the Pirelli pole battle. And that Audi has been fast from the first practice session, and it continues to be so. Raffaele Marciello in the 10 now. So bumped out Jackson Evans. Peroni goes to 10th place. Holdsworth looking at the outside, looking in. Kirchhofer in the McLaren gets up. It's a flurry of lap times. Kelvin van der Linde only 13th on that lap at a 2:02.6. Time to find for the defending winners.
Here they come. Here they come. It's time. Max Hesse in the BMW. He crosses the line. Doesn't trouble the top. Brock Feeney into the 10. Fastest final sector. 7th place.
That means he's got a good start on the next lap as well when you get the fastest final sector. Let's see if he pushes on there in that blue Ford.
Cast your mind back to qualifying one. Lauren Heinrich was quickest in that session at a 2:02.38. He's now 7th. I think he's very, very nervous. I don't think a 2:02.38 is good enough to get you into the Pirelli pole battle, given Lucas Stoles has just gone 6th at a 2:02.02. Penrite Racing still going to work on the number 100 car. 5 minutes remaining in qualifying part 2 to set the 10 for the Pirelli pole battle this afternoon. Haase, Audi, Waters, Mercedes, Auer, Mercedes, AMG, Mapelli, Lamborghini, Scott Andrews, huge lap from the man from Victoria in 5th place. He's for Mercedes. Lucas Stoles, Heinrich, Feeney, Marcello, Kirchhofer for McLaren inside the top 10.
I said Brock Feeney might get a good start on his next lap, and he's gone faster than anyone else. A 49.9 Garth Tander for the first sector.
First 49 of the weekend in that first sector for the climb up the mountain. He was hustling hard down through the S's to the dipper. He missed the apex at the corner prior to the dip of the left-hander there, but was able to get through nicely. But he is a fair chunk of time away.
Scott Andrews, 2:01.67 for Guy at Valmont Racing, goes to the top. But I think Brock Feeney is on to beat him with this lap. Mega first sector. Gave away about 6/10 across the top of the Mercedes relative to Scott Andrews' lap time. So this is going to be very, very close. Down into the mid-2:01s now. And it looks like that might be the number you need to do to get yourself into the Pirelli pole battle. Brock Feeney is so good in qualifying trim. The king of qualifying in Repco Supercars last year. What's this lap for the Mustang? 8th. It's only 8th, 2:02.09.
Stoltz goes to second in the 75 car. So there is still time for Brock Feeney, but does he have enough tyre left on the Mustang to get the job done?
And is there time for Kai Allen, who just left pit lane? He'll get 2 80% laps in and then one last lap after the checkered flag. They didn't look to change anything on that left rear corner where it got down onto the ground, but they did throw used tyres on it to help him get that tyre temp up.
And just moments ago, we were talking about the fact that Lauren Heinrich was 7th. He's now 13th.
Yeah.
He has been bumped well out of the top 10. The only driver from qualifying one still in there is Lucas Auer, thanks to that very impressive 2:01.9. And that could be, at this point, the cut-off time.
Quick shout out to Lee Holdsworth, currently 10th in the Hallmark Audi. He was able to get himself into the Pirelli pole battle this time last year, but he's on the bubble right now. We're on board here with Marco Mapelli, who absolutely throws the Lamborghini Hurricane at the chase. How early was he back on the throttle, coming back out the other side? Far out, that is commitment. Listen to this one.
Smashing the rev limiter into the final corner. Stop, turn, big moment, mid-corner, it slides. And that will be the lap.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow, 2:02.8.
That's commitment personified. You can say with the bottom of the track, it doesn't matter that much. You don't have to try that hard. Tell Marco Mapelli.
2 minutes remaining. Brock Feeney, purple in the first sector again. He's 9th. Lee Holdsworth is on the bubble. He is 10th at a 2:02.24. Don't know if that will be enough. Kelvin van der Linde, it's not, because Kelvin van der Linde has just gone to 9th position in the 32 BMW. So you've got to do a 2 dead to get into the top 10. This lap from Brock Feeney has an improvement from the last time around. Where does this put the Ford Mustang? He's been bumped to 11th, but he doesn't stay there because he goes second
Get in.
with a 1:06.8. top 3 cars covered by less than a tenth, and Cam Waters is going on with it. Purple in the middle sector.
Down to the final corner, gets the EMG turned in for the 222, and he goes to the top. Now we're throwing overhand, gentlemen. This is exactly what we wanted to do. This is not going to get you pole position, remember. He's not claimed pole. That comes later when we have the top 10.
Just lets you play in the next session, effectively. Yeah. That's all it does.
Jaden Ojeda goes to 5th at a 201.8. So Marco Mappelli on the bubble at a 201.9. So you've got to do a 1 now to get into the Pirelli pole battle. And Lucas Auer still clinging on in 8th position for Craft Bamboo Racing. Can he convert?
Kai Allen slipped all the way down to 21st with all the dramas they had with this car. I'm not sure with just 1 push lap.
Race control pit exit 30 seconds.
There's going to be enough time because, as race control said, just 30 seconds. He's not going to get back to the control line to start another lap. So this is his 1 lap, his 1 chance. And his first sector's a fair way away. Saw the car sliding out of turn 2 as he got back to the throttle. So it's a valiant effort by the Grove Racing Penrite team to get this car back on track.
But he's still got to push because he caused a red flag.
Yeah, well, he's 20. The time that he's done, that he holds right now, is a 21st. So they've eliminated his 202.5 and given him a 202.7.
Now closed.
So luckily he had that 202.7 as a backup.
But if he improves here,
then he gets up again.
Oh yeah,
and that is actual grid position because from 11th on down, we're freezing that at the checkered flag as he comes through.
The lap you're on is the lap you're on. So this is all or nothing now. Kelvin van der Linde, 12th, will not improve, will miss the Pirelli pole shuffle this time by. Lucas Auer clinging on. Matt Campbell's just got himself into the 10. Alan Simonson, pole award winner in 2020 for Porsche. He's gone to 9th. 21st at the moment, Kai Allen. Good middle sector for the Penrite Mercedes, but he stays 21st. The task was pretty hard, and he didn't quite get there in the end.
There's no Ferrari in the top 10 there, guys.
No, I'm not surprised about that. In the end, you had to do a 201.9 to get yourself into the contention for pole position, and Chaz wipes the sweat from his brow. No worries there, because a 201.56 for Cam Waters is a cracking lap time.
Only 1 BMW in the top 10, with BMWs in 11th and 12th for Max Hesse and Kelvin van der Linde. That might not have been on everybody's bingo cards.
That's the fastest Ferrari on the mountain right now. The race car's not spectacular in qualifying, but I'm sure they've got a plan. So there's the 10 that will challenge for pole position later on this afternoon in the Pirelli pole battle. What a lap, Cam Waters. Have a look at the margins down the right-hand side. So 0.4 of a second, and the time to get into that top 10 was a 2-minute 1.99. Great to see the Lamborghini squeaking through. What a lap from Marco Mappelli. Those on the outside looking in. So Max Hesse, the privateer BMW, out-qualifies the car that won last year. So that's a huge job from the young German out-qualifying Kelvin van der Linde.
And that is the 6th row on down. That's how they will start on Sunday.
So the Grove car will start from 21st, despite a pretty heroic effort to try and turn it round. 29 cars covered by 1.6 seconds. This is genuinely one of, if not the most competitive field we've seen at the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hour. To the Elf Oil pit lane, and a pretty happy team at STM, Shay Adam.
A very happy team, and Tom Randall actually saying to some of the crew guys, this is a complete team effort. Tom, you and Chaz sitting there, nerve-wracking, trying to watch what your co-driver could do. Do you think he had that lap time in him?
It's hard to say, honestly, because the whole weekend up to this point, you know, we don't really know where anyone's at. But, I mean, we've still got the Super Pole to go, so great to be in that. Cam's done a ripper job there. But, you know, it's a team effort. You've got to thank everyone from STM, Ash Seaward Motorsport. Obviously, yeah, Chaz has been doing a mega job. Having Barry Ryan on board's been great. And, yeah, now I'm looking forward to sitting back again and seeing what Cam can produce in the Pirelli pole battle.
I'm really going to have to find some popcorn for that.
If you find some, could you bring some to us too?
Oh, 100% I will. Crailsy, have you seen any popcorn?
No, but I'll send it down. Second driver to ask for it in this session, by the way. What a session it was. Still to come this afternoon, the Pirelli pole battle for the Alan Simonson Pole Award. Great stuff in qualifying for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hour. As we go to a short break, GM Chevrolet are making their debut on the mountain this weekend. The Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Chad Nolan went to hang out to Earl Bamber to find out a little bit more about the Corvette.
All right. We'll have to do a driver change at some point. But it's good to have you back. We've missed you.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back out tomorrow morning. And also it's special to bring like the Corvette back. So drove it in 2024 and IMSA, done like a lot of the sim stuff. So it's just cool to bring it here for the first ever time, if you know what I mean.
So won the race as a team boss.
Yes.
Your race team managed to pull it off a few years ago in fantastic fashion. But to do it as a driver, it feels like the one thing missing off your incredible CV at the moment.
Two things missing off the CV, which is here and Daytona. So Daytona last week was second, narrowly missing out with the Cadillac. So now we're going to have another good shot at it with the JMR guys.
When's the last time we've done a lap at this place?
2020, mate.
Yeah, right.
At the back end of the race.
This is your first lap back since.
First lap back, mate. So, like, I want to absolutely gun this, but I have a feeling someone will probably yell at me.
Then of the people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just the people and the fans and stuff like that. Like, that's also what makes coming across the top of the mountain. Like, when we come out at 5:30 in the morning, there's some sort of, like, special spiritual thing about the mountain, right?
Tell me about this car that we're in, this beautiful Z06, because I've seen them on the road here in Australia. They're about to get introduced to the race car, which is very exciting, but this in itself is very capable.
This thing is insanely capable. It's like an absolute track weapon. Not driven on the road and like driven a lot of sports cars, and this is one of the most fun things. They're one of the manufacturers where the car design team comes to the race team and says, what do you want to build a fast racing car? They build that and then make this afterwards.
What a lot of people probably don't realise, if we were to absolutely let this thing go down here down Conrod, it would go faster than the race car.
Oh yeah, so I think if we went for it, which I'm sure everyone would love to, I think we'd probably end up at 320 k's an hour, which is insanely fast. Like when I did the Nürburgring stuff, I was in the sim and we were going crazy quick, and I was like, guys, you do realise this is faster and crazier than our race cars.
So this is the race car. This is the first time I've ever had a chance to lay eyes on this, and it is unreal to see this up close in person first time. Why don't we quickly just talk through what's the same on it, because there is quite a lot similar between A and B here.
Yeah, like we were saying around the track, that they essentially come to the racing program and from a chassis side ask, hey, what do you guys want to go racing? They build up that for us and then they convert it. So they go the opposite way very often. A lot of the things are the same. They try to be very closely aligned on brakes. The engine is nearly identical, which is something really, really unique. But conceptually, a lot of it is transferable.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for the lap around the track. Road or race, I get the feeling that Aussie fans are going to absolutely love seeing the Corvettes here at Bathurst.
Yeah, we can't wait. Hopefully we're at the top step as well.
Good luck, mate.
Cheers.
3 hours west of Sydney, you find Australia's oldest inland settlement, Bathurst, the site where Australia's first payable gold was discovered in 1851. It's home to 47,000 people, but each February, that number almost triples with Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour taking over the city's most famous landmark, Mount Panorama, and that's where we find ourselves this weekend, getting set for the final race of the weekend for the Duggan Family Hotel sports cars and sedans. They've become really one of the most popular support classes to the 12-hour. We see such a wide variety of cars here, from old spec GT cars to production cars as well. And as I bring in Gary O'Brien this afternoon, this category really has evolved over the years.
It certainly has. Started off as a regularity event at an Easter meeting many years ago, and it has evolved into what is now probably the premier way that it can actually run. A cut-off time of 2 minutes 05. No one's going to get down to that. Therefore, it's just perfect for good, fast racing. No one has to manage their times to try not to break out as such.
We've already seen 2 races so far this weekend. Both have been dominated by Brad Shields. You've got to say, Gary, that really from the form guide that we've seen so far, he's going to be tough to beat here in race 3.
Yeah, certainly. I did it the hard way in race 1 with no power steering for the whole race and a heart rate that hit 200. Certainly did it the hard way, but held off the opposition and got the big chocolates in the end. And then, of course, he's dominated the second race.
Steve Lacey will be alongside him on the front row. He's been strong so far this weekend, a pair of second places. Hasn't been great, though, throughout the initial start, so that's what he'll hope to improve on here as the field file down Conrod Straight. A rolling start is what we'll expect. We've got 10 laps or 30 minutes, whichever will come first. One man to watch out for is Mark Duggan. He had an issue where he got caught up in an incident at Griffin's Bend earlier on this morning. He will start position 44 in this one.
Yeah, and he'll be on a charge from the word go. Steve Lacey, of course, as you said, spit so off the line. He had top wheel spin all the way in the first race, and then new tyres in the second, and just gently eased it off the line. That's the car that actually won the outright winner last year. Was first across the line in 3 races, got pinged in 1 for braking at a time. It was green then, it became red, and now it's yellow, and he's alongside the man they all want to beat this weekend in Brad Shields.
The thunderous roar of the sports cars and sedans will rock through Mount Panorama here on this Saturday afternoon, as Shields gets a great jump on that inside front row. Look at Nathan Hearn looking aggressive on the inside as Lacey locks up that right front tyre, and we've got cars going off down the escape road there at Hell Corner.
Scotty Taylor was one of them. I think the other one was Andy Hall, and they're just trying to avoid any sort of damage. And I guess they just seen that lock up from Lacey and thought, well, let's just get out of this. There's Nathan Hearn. He's in second spot. Now goes back to third. That car's on the market. I did say earlier it was sold. It isn't, but it'd certainly be a good buy. It's one of the best Trans Am cars in Australia.
Jake Donaldson was a big winner throughout all of that in the 303 Porsche. He's sitting in underneath the rear of Hearn, and there's a sorry sight for the Taylor Motorsport car pulling off towards driver's left, and some fairly significant damage it looked like on the left front of that car, and he pulls it off there just off the edge of the racetrack.
Trouble for Jason Miller as well in the cutting. The car's come to a halt.
Tricky spot there as well. Look at the margin your race leader's already got out in front as they go across the top of McPhillamy Park. Lacey has got by Hearn here as well, so Hearn originally had that second spot going into Hell Corner, but Lacey, with the power of that sports sedan, able to get back past as we go safety car conditions for the opening lap of 10 here.
Jake Donaldson's got a good start. He's just in behind the Trans Am car ahead of Ben Gomersall in the 2012 Super 2 winning Ford Falcon FG that was piloted at the time by Scott McLaughlin.
Won the championship that day on the streets of Sydney Olympic Park. And there is Scott Taylor. Unfortunately, all he can do is look on at the damage on that car.
That is a GT3R. It's a fairly rare car in Australia, at least. I believe there was only about 4 that came here. And he had one of them, or he still got one of them, and I think there's another 2 for a city-based driver and one in Melbourne.
So he's hopped over the other side of the fence, and all he can do now is watch on for the rest of this race. But we mentioned at the outset, In fact, we'll have a look at the start here. I'll touch on that in a moment, but you can see the start that Shields had. Look at Gomersall on the outside as well as Lacey. Just pinches both tyres, in fact, into turn 1.
And there was Hall and Taylor off on the outside of Shannon's Hill corner.
Hall, I don't think, made contact with that outside wall there into turn number 1, but lost a lot of ground, and we'll have an indication what happened to Miller here.
Did he have contact with
Blake
Tracy?
Hard to tell from that camera angle, but he certainly made significant contact with the outside wall there, and you can see the right front damage on that car parked in that precarious position. Might be able to push that car just towards the left-hand side here. There's a little access road. We might be able to get this race back underway quite quickly. As Taylor's now got the helmet off and walks back into the lane. Of course, the sister car, GT3 AMG Mercedes, was very quick in that last session for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour.
Provisional pole at this stage.
Correct. Still the Pirelli pole battle coming up later on this afternoon. So it's Shields, Lacey, Hearn, Donaldson, Gomersall, the top 5 as it stands currently. Tracy, Carr, McMillan, who's made up some spots here as well. Lee Stibbs and Burkhardt's the top 10 as it stands currently.
Yeah, if you want to know how all this has developed, we have a podcast on Spotify called the Grassroots Racing Podcast, and that actually went through how Stephen Lacey and his wife Bronnie developed this category from irregularity to where it is today. It's an interesting story, well worth a listen.
It's great, isn't it? Because we see that wide variety of cars, from old spec GT cars, a lot of production cars here as well. So sort of taking this weekend as a test session before we get into the Bathurst 6-hour we see here over Easter.
Some will admit it, some don't, but we have the classes, as you mentioned. We've got space frame, chassis in groups 1 and groups 2, and then we've got sports cars as well.
So recovery teams there just working to get the Miller car away there from the Ford Cutting for this weekend. And once the field does roll through, he'll be able to try and pop that car towards the access road on the left-hand side. And fingers crossed we won't be too far away from a restart here.
Yeah, Miller was the leading sports car in race 1. I think it was about third across the line in the second race, if I... No, he was actually the second car to finish in sports cars in race 2. So he's had a good weekend so far. Unfortunately, it's all come to an end.
We mentioned how Mark Duggan was starting almost around the 50 mark. I can tell you he's popped up to position 22 already. So quite an impressive opening half a lap that we had before the safety car did eventually come out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. It looks like Taylor hit the back of Hall when Hall sort of went wide going into that corner, and both of them just opted to get out of it at that stage. And they may have just been thrown off guard by the tyre lock up on Lacey's car, because Lacey dropped back to 4th there at one stage, going up the hill.
And there you can see the damage on the left front of that car.
As you said, not many of those cars made it out here.
Here's Miller again going into the Ford Cutting, making contact there with the outside wall. But
I'm not going to blame anyone for that as yet.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? As Tracy's been in the thick of the action so far this weekend. Carson Meinbach earlier on to the start of the weekend, and he was very fast in the early sessions of the weekend, but made contact with the wall earlier on too.
Yeah, it was light touch, well, not a heavy touch, but he decided that rather than, because it's non-championship, rather than keep going with nothing on the line, that he'd sit it out. He said if it was a championship race, he would have kept going. And he was with Hearn basically at that stage of the race.
And that is a brand new car this weekend as well, so trying to keep it clean before what's going to be a very, very busy 2026 schedule. Some interesting names that are also nestled in the paddock this weekend for the sports cars and sedans. We've got the Gomersalls here this weekend, but they've got some support from another famous family in Australian motorsport.
Yeah, Ben Gomersall, as you know, is running the Falcon. His father, Jason, is running the Mustang production car that finished third in last year's race. They've been looked after by the Seatons this weekend. The Seatons have got a long history running with the Gomersals, and it's Glenn who's looking after Jason, and Aaron is looking after Ben this weekend. But I dare say we'll probably get back to greens the next time round, so we won't have another lap here behind the safety car. Another one to watch would be Lee Stibbs. His first run here in IRC GT. Unfortunately had an incident with Tracy early on in the weekend. Came through the field for a solid result in race 1. They took 80 minutes to basically rebuild that car and get it out there. Similarly so with the Lockie Harbour car. That's back out and running this weekend after it had an incident at the top of the mountain this morning. They managed to get that back and running, and we interested to see how far he's got up the field as well.
Whilst we're under safety car here at the moment at Mount Panorama, our very own John Hindhoff took a bit of a moment to catch up with the guys at the Shannon's Super Rig.
Pop quiz time. What is 26 metres by 8 metres by 8 metres and gets 60,000 race fans through it every year? No, not this, that. The Shannon Super Rig. 60,000 people a year entertaining themselves with race simulators. We've also got a look back at the history of motoring and motorsport on the video screens, and this specifically designed and built rig spends about a third of its time in metro areas, 2/3 out in country locations, supporting automotive and motorsport events. But you haven't seen the half of it yet, literally, because there's an upstairs. There's a built-in PA system, so if you want to run an event here, you can do that as well. But here's the piece de resistance. Look at that view here at Mount Panorama. It's so good, even the pros want to be here. Bailey Hall, look at this, mate. How good is this?
This is stunning. Best place to be in the world.
It has to be. And they've even thrown a safety car perfectly for us so we can get the interview done. Look, you meet fans here at the Shannon Super Rig. How important is that for you to be able to touch base with the enthusiasts?
Oh, that's what it's all about. You know, we don't get to go racing if it's not for the fans. Shannons have produced such an amazing fan hub. You know, they're the leading insurer for motoring enthusiasts, and that's the people that are out here enjoying the racing and the fans that support us all the time.
And do you feed from that, from their enthusiasm, their passion, when you're going racing in the GT3 or the GT4 car?
Absolutely. You know, across the top of the mountain, you can hear the fans cheering. But, you know, this is just one of 1,200 events that the Shannon Super Rig comes to, and it's awesome to connect with them. You know, I get to sign posters of young kids. I still remember when I was a little kid looking for driver's signage. So it's really special for me, and yeah, pushes me all the way through the weekend.
Keep your eyes peeled for the Shannon Super Rig all over Australia at automotive and motoring events.
Yes, thank you for that, John. I reckon, Gary, we might just move the commentary box there this weekend. It's not a bad little spot there at Meguiar's Murray's Corner.
You must ask John what the catering's like.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it might go all right as the Miller machine now comes back off the exit of the racetrack there, just past the Ford cutting. We shouldn't be too far away from getting race number 3 of the weekend back underway here for the sports cars and sedans at Mount Panorama. Incidentally, the BMW safety car now pulling away as the field now files down Conrod Straight.
We'll see if Lacey can get a better restart this time. As we said, he's had dramas getting it away, although he intentionally didn't try to get it away too hastily this morning because of new tyres and would have spun up straight away.
So Shields early this morning got to around about a 10-second lead before the safety car came out in race number 2, which would ultimately curtail that second race of the weekend. So he's got pace to burn in this Fiat. We'll see if he can show that here once again. He's biding his time, waiting for the right moment to get back onto the gas pedal and lead them back to green flag as he does so this time by
Well, if Lacey can stay with him, he actually did a faster time in this morning's race, so he needs to be up. Oh, Hearn gets in all sorts of trouble coming into Shannon's Hill corner, but does rescue it and now chases Lacey up the hill.
Looked like Hearn just dropped the right-hand side of the car off on the edge of the racetrack before the turning point, so that unsettled the car, but he did a really good job to hold on to it. As Tracy now just pulling off towards driver's right here and covering McMillan, then heading into Griffin's Bend.
Oh, we've got Levitt deciding he's had enough. He's going in the back entrance to the pits in the Mercedes. That's a production car. Very fast one, I believe. I heard someone say that in an ex-supercar that he could stick with it in a straight line.
Gomersall under attack here from Tracy, and more cars getting caught up here on the run-up.
Quinny Nissan stopped on Mountain Straight. That was a class winner here last year, that car. Unfortunately, it won't be this year.
Stuck in an interesting spot there as well, so we'll see what race control thinks of that one. And there might be more trouble here, and this might explain the Levitt machine and why it's pulled off. He's had a huge moment as he's caught the rear of the train heading down into the final turn as they were getting back under green flag conditions. So that was a big moment, and lucky that that wasn't actually worse.
And someone will be wanting that GT sign back, won't they?
Well, it's almost parked with the campers over there.
That's a braking marker.
That might be a nice little souvenir, like you mentioned. We stay green for the moment, and look at that margin that Shields has already got between himself and Lacey.
This will be a pretty quick lap from Shields, I would imagine. 203 kilometres an hour at the radar point. 201 from Lacey. Not quite as quick, but Lacey has managed to pull away a bit from Hearn, who now has Gomersall and McMillan and Tracy right up behind him. Tracy started out of 11th, so he's picked up quite a few spots out of this, and now McMillan goes down the inside of Gomersall, or attempts to. Not quite enough room to get it done. That's a car that Lacey drove here last year. It was red then. They did a livery swap when they changed cars. Now he does get the job done as they go into Shannon's Hill corner on the beginning of the 5th lap.
Almost got the move done. He'll try and use the pace of this IRC GT sports sedan. Heading up Mountain Straight, he'll clear him. He's half a chance of clearing Nathan Hearn here as well, and he'll actually do that with ease as they crest Mountain Straight and heading to Griffin's Bend. The interesting thing about these IRC GT sports sedans is that they have no traction control. They've got no ABS either, so you've got to be really precise with your inputs in order to get the most out of the car.
Yeah, it's part of the sports sedan rules that they don't have those luxuries. It's a software package that they've fit to them. If you want to convert the car to IRC GT, which is a sports car spec, they change the engine and change the aero slightly. The tyres change a little bit as well. Other than that, they look the same.
The other interesting thing about the Gomersall car, of course, that ex-SBR Falcon, it's actually spent the last 3 years on display at the Gold Coast Motor Museum, so they've dusted it off, and it's done a really good job so far this weekend. It's been quite quick and doing a nice effort so far in position number 5.
Number 1 in the pits, 175. That's the Cameron Reese car out of Victoria. Those cars are looked at, he's one of a group of cars looked after by Andy Hall in his Porsche workshop in Melbourne.
Brad Shields out in front. He's got 11 seconds to the grid right now, and the pace is very quick indeed. On the previous lap, he did a 206.7. Remember that benchmark time that they can't go under has been lowered this year to a 205. He's going to go close to that, I reckon, on this particular lap, as McMillan now is on the back of Lacey here. Good exit through the chase, and now will show the nose heading down into Murray's corner. He's going to get this job done. Lacey gives him all the room in the world. McMillan now goes through into position number 2.
And a 204 for Shields down Conrod on that lap.
205.2, so he didn't break that benchmark time. He was 0.2 of a second away from breaking it, but that is the fastest lap that we've seen this weekend, and that's by quite a margin.
This will be interesting now because we've got Hearn, Gomersall and Tracy. Now they all generally run in Trans Am or TA2, and there we can see Gomersall in the former supercar takes that position away from Hearn, and look who's behind him, Tracy, his teammate for 2026. Of
course, these TA2 cars really move around quite a lot on the Hoosier tyre. That was evident going through Griffin's Bend that time by. And Hearn this weekend has been very crossed up through the top section of the racetrack. He's actually been quite quick, and that's where he's able to find a lot of his speed and momentum. But when he's nestled in underneath the rear wing of the car in front, it's hard when you've got that dirty air.
And he slides the car so much and doesn't seem to wear the tyre out. I've seen others try to do the same thing and their tyres are shot. How he does it, no one sort of knows, but he's been dynamite across the top of the mountain.
Work on the back here of Gomersall as well. Now, the more that these two might battle in amongst themselves, Tracy's half a chance of trying to catch the pair of them here. He's not too far away. And what is theoretically the battle for positions 4, 5 and 6th overall currently.
Onto Conrod Straight again. Now that I would suggest that the supercar will be able to pull away from the TA2 car down the long chute, which he does.
Close to about 290 kilometres per hour as he tips it into the chase. And then stands on the brakes to get it turned into the left-hander. Tyler Cheney here on screen. Good job to get that car repaired after an incident at this particular point in the racetrack yesterday. Missed the first race of the weekend, but they got that car recovered, and he did a nice recovery job earlier on this morning to make his way through the field and continuing on that effort now this afternoon.
And there's another car that's come through the field a bit from a poor performance earlier, and that's the Richard Gardner Lamborghini Gallardo. That car failed to start the first race because the ABS locked on one of the rear brakes, but has been coming on strong in race 2 this morning and now in race 1. And just behind him there is Blake Tracy's father, Mark, in the Chef-powered BMW, and he has Tyler Cheney right behind him.
So for Cheney this morning, he started really towards the back of this 54 car grid. He got up to position 25 and currently is around about that 15th position. Of course, times that's certainly changing at the moment as the cars come back across the line. In fact, he's bang on that 15th position then as they came across the start-finish line on that previous lap. So again, another 10 spots for him, making his way back towards the front.
There's the other Lamborghini in the field going through ahead of one of Seth Burkhart's Porsche. And behind them would be Rob Vanderkamp in the ex-supercar, the WPS car. That car's had 3 outings to date this weekend and had tyre problems in all of them.
That's the thing about Mount Panorama. It's not always hard on tyre wear, but certainly tyre load. And here's Jason Gomersall in one of the Mustangs that we often see run here at Easter time as part of the Bathurst 6-hour production car.
And Steve Thompson there with him in the Evo 9 going up the hill. He said the fast cars are just way too fast now. A few years ago he might have been half a chance of a top 20, but no chance these days with being a production-based car. Of course, Jason Gomersall and Aaron Seaton won the GT4 Pro-Am last year. Clinched it at the final round held at Hampton Downs in New Zealand.
So your race leader at the moment, 10.5 seconds to the good over the rest of the field. And we're hearing at the moment from race control, this will be, in fact, the last lap. So Shields has done it quite comfortably.
If you're watching this from overseas and you haven't seen this before, you might be wondering what that is. That is based on a Fiat 124 coupe that runs a twin-rotor turbocharged engine. Did have a triple rotor in it for a little while, but they decided to go back to the twin. Oh, Graham Smith in the RX-7 in the way there.
When you've got so many cars and such a variety of cars, traffic is a premium up here at Mount Panorama, and on this particular lap, Shields is finding out just what that is exactly like. He's got one of the production BMWs that he's going to have to park behind as well, heading down into the S's. He's got time certainly on his side, though, because McMillan is now 8.9 seconds in arrears, but the pace from Shields out in front has just dropped back ever so slightly. Remember, he did that 2:05.2 a couple of laps ago. On the previous lap, he did a 2:07. So just managing the pace out in front and getting this car home.
It wouldn't surprise you at the final round of the Australian Sports Sedan Series last year at Phillip Island, started last and won.
No surprise indeed as he fires down into the chase for the final time. A man that knows this place well.
Resided here for a while and was commuting to Eastern Creek for driver training during the week. How's that for commitment?
He doesn't need any more training, does he? Because he's putting his limits where it is here this weekend at Mount Panorama. He comes through the final turn and Brad Shields will dominate the weekend. 3 races, 3 race wins here for the Duggan Family Hotels sports cars and sedans at Mount Panorama. McMillan will come home in second. Lacey will cross the line in third, incidentally. And Gomersall, a good job, 4th overall in that ex-SBR Falcon.
We go back to Nathan Hearn, will be the next one to come through there, and Blake Tracy, his teammate for 2026, comes across the line in what would be 6th position. Jake Donaldson in 7th, Lee Stibbs in 8th, and his first trip to Mount Panorama. Great job this morning to come through, or great job yesterday to come through the field as he did. Johnny Goodacre put on new tyres for this race and has been rewarded with a better result than he has had for the weekend after a spin in race 1.
It's not done with yet because Mark Duggan, after starting deep in the field, he was 17th at the last timing interval. He might be a few more places up as Millett is trying to make his way up through the field through the final turn. They come across the line. In the end, for Duggan, he was still in 17th position, so a nice charge through the field after starting down in what was roughly 48th position. 44 was it, so there you go. Race 3, Brad Shields gets the job done. 7.9 seconds in the end between himself and McMillan. Lacey, Gomersall and Hearn, your top 5.
Yeah, just outside the top 5, Blake Tracy, Jake Donaldson, Lee Stibbs. Then it was Brad Carr and John Goodacre into the top 10.
A good performance in the end from Goodacre. We scroll over the page, Tyler Cheney made his way up in the end to position number 14, and there we go for Mark Duggan, 17th from the back of the field.
Yeah, Lockie Harburg was another one that started from the back, and he got himself up to 19. Charlie Curry in that supercharged Honda K24 got himself to 21, followed by Tim Mann, Warwick Morris, Greg Doyle in the 4-wheel drive Nissan Skyline there as well.
Turn over the page, Jason Gomersall in the end got home position number 30. Good to have the Buccini family here this weekend. Carly coming home in 35th overall. And then a few of the drivers that had some issues there in the third and final race of the weekend. Of course, Scott Taylor didn't go too far past turn number 1 before his race was over. Plenty happening here at Mount Panorama. Brad Shields getting the job done. A lot of the drivers have been out and about this weekend here at the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 Hour, but plenty of them are in the back of the paddock at the moment. And that's where we find our very own Chad Naylon.
Yes, we're at the back here because it's autograph session time, Brian, and there are plenty of people at the back of the garages. There is absolutely no prize, Shay, for guessing who they've come to see here today.
Yeah, we must be sadistic, choosing the longest line to embed ourselves in. But everyone here is a fan of the man, the myth, the legend, Valentino Rossi.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He is sitting right over there, meeting the fans. Everybody's limited to 1 item signed per customer, so to speak. And as you can tell, there's a lot of smiles and a lot of happy people down here.
That is very well put. It is so cool to have the legend that is Valentino Rossi here. And to see it from above is even better. I'm going to send you down to Porsche, where maybe the queue is slightly smaller.
I will see.
And I might see if I can get a word with Augusto Farfus, and a past race winner here from last year. If I can sneak around the back here of the WRT sign-on area, and we'll go down the back and see if we can quickly grab a word with the boys. Hello, Kelvin. Haven't seen Kelvin back in Australia yet. We'll see if we can get a word with Augusto. Hello, mate. This is so exciting. You are the reigning champion here, but what's it like pairing with Valentino and seeing these huge crowds come down to meet you guys?
Well, I think it's great to be, first of all, to be back. Last year we had a great race, and this year I'm the different crew, the 46, with Lelo, my longtime partner back in Europe, and again with Vale. So we haven't actually, me and Vale, won a race together. So I think Bathurst could be a great opportunity to see all this crowd, the fans. He's doing exceptionally well. So we are all very close, and who knows? I mean, tomorrow What time is it? By this time, we're going to have a pretty good clue where we are standing at.
Lello did a lovely job in qualifying earlier. Has he got one more good lap in him for later today?
Yeah, well, I think he has another few good laps in his pocket to pull it out, and hopefully going to pull one out later on today.
Thank you, Augusto. I'll let you get back to meeting the fans down here. So good to have this guy, Valentino Rossi, and this giant crowd. And we'll send you down to Porsche to see exactly who Shay's found.
I found Alessio Picariello, who is one of the members of one of the fan favorite liveries in the field this weekend. The Corvette, the Porsche with the giant kangaroo, that's what I was trying to say, on the side of the car. Alessio, have you felt extra Australian love this week?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's always cool to come here and to come with such a livery. It's extra special. For the story, last year in practice, we nearly hit one. Like, it was very close, so yeah, we decided to have a livery that fits us a little bit better.
So it's actually a warning to all the kangaroos that you're coming. It's not a warning to everybody else.
Exactly. It's more for the kangaroos to stay away from us, and hopefully we have a strong race.
Matty did a great job to get it up into that final top 10 shootout for the pole. Do you think there's more speed in the Porsche?
Well, he did a really good lap. Let's see if that's the maximum. I think he says he has a little bit more, but the gap is a little bit too big to P1 now. But let's see, I think we have a good race car, so we are quite confident for the race. Qualifying here is important, but not too important. So hopefully, yeah, we will have a good race, a good strategy, and with this lineup, I think we can do well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
He managed to win the Pro-Am class, Chad. Now the question is, can he win overall?
Maybe. And maybe Valentino Rossi's also a chance for that outright victory, signing a few of the posters of the BMW down here at the moment. Signing left-handed for the fans. He's got a couple of autobiographies to sign, a few posters, a few hats. Some of the kids have brought their shirts down here as well. He is a force unto himself, this wonderful man / rider / driver. Hello, Valley. We'll get a quick word while you're down here with the fans. Thank you so much for coming back to Australia. How are you finding the reception back here in Australia again, mate?
Ciao. Hi to everybody. It's always fantastic be here in Australia. I have always a great support from the Australian fans. And this race is one of the best of the season for the atmosphere, for the people, and especially for the track, because the track is something unique. And is great with the GT3 cars because you enjoy a lot, especially in the mountain. So always a great pleasure.
Mate, thank you so much for being here and meeting the fans. Don't be shy. Come and meet the great man that is Valentino Rossi. We'll send you back down to Shay.
And I have actually found a man that we need to ask more questions of, because Nicky Katzberg, you brought some extra little bits of the racetrack back with you earlier. Where did you hit the wall around Mount Panorama?
It was the exit of turn 2, but it was only a little kiss. It was just little bits of the wall that I had, and you gave it to me. Yeah. So I saved it because it's pretty cool to have a part of the mountain with me now.
You just wanted to kiss the mountain on Valentine's Day, that's it, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's a bit of a love story. Yeah, it's an awesome track, but no. In all fairness, I wasn't planning to hit the wall at all. It's not very good for confidence, but yeah, so far it's been going really well. The car feels great, so we're having a good time here.
Big fan favorites this weekend. That should help your confidence. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, a bit of colour from the autograph session here. The fans are out in force at Mount Panorama. You got to love the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. We are here at Bathurst, but in just 1 week, we're going to be lighting it up, Sydney Motorsport Park. It's going to be an awesome start to the Repco Supercars Championship, but stick with us. We've got lots more to come here at Mount Panorama.
After the biggest season in Supercars history.
What are you up the inside? There's contact. Chaz Mostert is the 2025 Supercars champion.
The fight starts again. Chaz Mostert begins his title defence under lights as the championship roars to life at Sydney Motorsport Park.
A brand new supercar era begins at Sydney Motorsport Park.
The Dunlop Sydney 500, February 20 to 22. A full throttle opener with stars, sparks, and the season's first showdown in the dark.
Oh my goodness, it's been a change!
Then the world comes to Melbourne as Australia turns up the volume. The Formula One Australian Grand Prix isn't just global horsepower, it's homegrown thunder. Aussie hero Oscar Piastri on home soil after a record-breaking season, joined by the biggest names in motorsport. The Formula One Qatar Airways Australian Grand Prix, 5th to the 8th of March.
Max, welcome to Australia. This is your first time here, yes?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, very first time over here in Sydney now, and then looking forward to go up the mountain.
We take you to all the nice places. A pretty good view.
It is. Yeah, I just came off fresh off the plane, so it's nice to get some sunshine. You know, I'm from Germany. It's very cold there, snowy, so in the shorts, t-shirt, I'm loving it.
And you're with a new team as well, with KRC.
Yeah, it's very first time for them. Very first time, I believe even a customer team is with the BMW taking part over here, so that's really, really cool. It's an Asian team based in China, so very excited for them to get going. And some familiar faces in the team, to be honest. I have my IMSA race engineer with me, so I think we will be good.
Third time the charm for BMW Team WRT. Kelvin, Augusto, welcome back to Sydney, and you come back as Bathurst winners. Fond memories of 12 months ago?
Bathurst is one of those very unique and iconic races, so be able to have that on the curriculum, something very nice.
Kelvin, you've been here plenty of times. Do you get sick of the view and sick of coming to this place, or do you still love it?
I still love it more and more every year. I was happy to finally get the monkey off my back last year, having tried so many times and just getting so close. It was great for the team with a 1-2, and it was a very special moment also doing it alongside Augusto, who is someone I used to watch as a young guy.
Now you've been split up. Different sort of scenario this year, isn't it?
As I said, it's a little bit unfortunate because we had a very successful year together last year, and pretty much all the races we did together, we kind of ended up in the top with a 24-hour Nürburgring win as well.
So we shared a lot of special moments last year. My two teammates this year as well. I mean, Charles was by my side last year for the GT World Challenge. We won the championship together, and obviously a lot of history with Jordan, who's coming back for the first time since his last win here.
And for you, an opportunity to drive with Valentino again, and the guys in your car, that's a cool opportunity as well, and another really strong combination.
Vale and Lello, they finished second last year. I did a mini race with Vale last year. Lello was in my car for most of my GT racing in Europe, so he's a guy, both of them I know very well. So I think we have two very strong lineups. Of course, the 46 wants to win, the 32 wants to win, but we are ultimately here to fight for BMW. So first you have to make sure that we beat all the competition.
Yes.
And then after that, we can see who beats each other.
Charles, nice to be back.
Yes, very nice. I mean, it's probably one of the best races we have during the year. First of all, Bathurst, incredible track. Yeah, every time you go there, you get chill that you cannot really find anywhere else. We go away from the winter and Europe, and we go here in this beautiful country, Australia. Very happy to share the car with Jordan and Kelvin, and hopefully we can do the same result as they achieved last year for Kelvin and a few years ago for Jordan.
Welcome back, defending winner in 2020. 6 years, can you believe it's been that long since you've seen this view and been up to Mount Panorama?
You realise how iconic this place is, how special it is, that drive. When you spot the mountain, you're a couple minutes out, you see it, and I always heard the stories how awesome it is, and I grew up watching endurance racing, waking up early hours in the morning, like European time, watching the race, and always wanted to come. It was pretty quick for me to get my first win, obviously, second time out. We had that iconic win with Bentley, and then since then, a lot has changed in my career. Been all over, been to the US, did a stint with Lamborghini, but I think I've found a great new home with BMW Motorsport. But I think coming back as a defending champion, albeit 6 years later, is going to be quite special.
Finally, what's your favourite thing about coming back to this part of the world, to this great city and this country?
For me, what I love about the race and stuff is how the motorsport culture in Australia is so big and they get behind it. I was fortunate enough in 2020, the year obviously I won, we took the time to go up and spend some time walking through the people and stuff, and just to see how everyone backs the motorsport, like how everyone's hyped up even on a free practice day, like how cool it is. I think it's just that whole atmosphere. It's a little bit laid back. It reminds me of home a lot, and always special to be here. I think that gives you a little bit of extra energy, and what I love is there's a lot of South Africans who come out and support as well. So kind of get that home support away from home, and it's, just makes it super special.
And from BMW to Ferrari, it's time for Ferrari Challenge down here on the grid. We've got a beautiful field of these glorious 296s and some 488s out there. Now, Shay, this is a series that you've spent plenty of time with in America, but very new here to Australia. It's only our second season.
It's honestly one of the best series in the world for customer support. Ferrari caters to their clients. The people who are here this weekend are made to feel as if they are the most important driver in the world, and that's why they get so many drivers across the world.
Now, Enzo Cheng won yesterday. He's on the pole. Why don't you go over and grab a quick word with our pole sitter, because he's inherited the pole after a three-place grid penalty to Antoine Gattani, and they put on an amazing race yesterday, Shay, which was highly entertaining in front. The front three battle was great.
Yeah. Hey, Enzo, do you mind if I interview you really quick? Absolutely, go ahead. Yesterday's race was phenomenal, but it must have kept your blood pressure and your heart rate up pretty high. How do you stay calm and cool knowing you're racing a Ferrari at Bathurst?
I mean, to race a Ferrari at Bathurst is such a special experience, and I think just to enjoy the moment. I had lots of fun yesterday, even though it's probably the toughest race so far. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it.
What are you looking forward to from today's race?
Hopefully more of the same. Just get out and stay in front through the first corner, and hopefully a bit of chaos behind me keeps him busy.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
And now over to Chad, who's talking to the guy who's starting alongside of him, who happened to put on one of the best moves of the race yesterday.
Came flying through the field off the back yesterday. Rick, come from New Zealand to be here today. Off the front's a bit of a better view, huh?
Oh, it's much better up here, but there's more pressure. Yesterday coming off the back, I felt there was no pressure for my first race in the car, but now we've managed to get on the front row. It's a different story, isn't it? You've got to perform and get out there and have a crack. So I love the car. It's pretty exciting. Haven't been here for a long time, so still coming to terms with it. Let's just see how we go.
I'll let you get your game face on, because I want to quickly show the fans these beautiful cars, and especially this part here. It's got a 3-litre twin-turbo V6 rear-mounted motor, which is what these cars use to get up to 700 horsepower and go nearly 300 kilometres an hour in a straight line here this weekend, Shay.
All right, Antoine Gattani, you're starting in P4. The pressure is starting to build. How excited are you for this race?
Yeah, really excited. Up against 3 other good drivers, really good drivers, so this will test my skills.
Good luck in this one.
Thank you.
Well, the drivers do sound a little bit nervous. We've got a full grid ready and set to go. 30 minutes on the clock. Second race of the weekend, opening round of their championship. Second year that we've had this glorious category with these beautiful Ferraris here in Australia. And we are just about set and ready to go. Mount Panorama is the location. Let's go racing with Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Australasia.
The longest running one-make series in the world returns to Mount Panorama as Ferrari Challenge Australasia starts their 2026 campaign here at Mount Panorama. This 5-round championship will also visit Phillip Island, the Bend, Queensland Raceway, and also Sydney Motorsport Park. But for the second time, we visit this wonderful circuit. Mount Panorama, 3 hours west of Sydney. This 6.23 kilometre racetrack's got 23 turns, and in one of these Trofeo Pirelli 296 challenge cars, they'll do roughly 300 kilometres per hour at the turning point heading into the chase. We're set for 30 minutes here this afternoon. Myself, Brian van der Wacker, alongside Renato Liberto. Really looking forward to this, mate. We saw a great race yesterday, and if that's anything to go by, this one's also set to be a cracker.
Absolutely, Brian. And we've already seen this morning in qualifying too, which is separate to this race today. The times have tumbled. Obviously, Antoine Gattani with a 2:05 flat, which is a fantastic lap here. He thought he had more pace in the car as well. And looking at data of the other drivers around him, everyone's got more potential there. They just didn't really get a chance to extract it at the end of the session.
Gattani thought that he could have done a 2:04 in qualifying this morning, but the headline really being is that unfortunately his time theoretically was put back to position number 4 because, and you can go into a little bit more depth because I know you're part of the team there, but he was judged to have been too quick through a yellow flag through the final corner.
That's right. The car 88 Adnan Sabai sort of rotated the car into Murray's and ended up in the gravel trap, as we see so many cars do. And as that happened, the yellows came out at the final turn. And obviously that lap for Antoine was a lap record, purple sector in all 3 sectors, and he did go through there deemed to have not slowed the car enough. The standing regulation for that is the 3 grid place penalty, putting him back into that 4th place position. So obviously a little bit more work for him to do, but probably the key thing from yesterday is, as they saw on the grid, Rick Armstrong. He was a real mover and shaker in that race yesterday, and he still hasn't had a chance yet to race with Antoine and Enzo, nor have they had a chance with him because he didn't get a chance to catch up to them in the race. So that's really the unknown for a lot of us here at the moment, is how that battle's going to play out. Enzo's strategy is all about getting to the front and letting the guys have a melee behind him and hopefully bridging a bit of a gap to them. So we'll see if that works out to him at the start of this race. But we do know as well, Rod Wilson, who didn't qualify as well as his performance was yesterday, had a lot of pace towards the mid to end of the race. So if he can latch onto them as well, he might have a sort of a 5 or 6 car sort of I guess all-in brawl at the start of this race.
So with Enzo Cheng starting on pole position, he's going for 4 straight race wins here this afternoon. That result that he had yesterday was quite strong because he was able to, in many regards, back those other drivers in behind. So here's your lineup for race number 2 of the weekend for Trofeo Pirelli Ferrari Challenge Australasia. It's Enzo Cheng, Rick Armstrong on your first row, Jim Pollicina and Antoine Gattani on that second row. David Truone will lead Copper Shell from position number 5.
Yeah, fantastic over there. Masahiro Taguchi alongside him. Richard Moore, the first of our Trofeo 4 and 8 on row 4. And then bringing out the rear there, Stephen Coe, Frank Italiano and Adnan Sibai, who had that moment in race 1.
We mentioned it there, a couple of different class structures here for Ferrari Challenge Australasia. We've got Trofeo Pirelli, we've got Copper Shell and Trofeo Pirelli 488, which is the older generation car.
That's right, Brian. And the easiest way to tell those cars differently, as you see they're rolling past the camera now, is that visor strip. Our sort of faster vehicles, our Trofeo Pirelli cars in the 296 class are there, the red banner across the front. Our Copper Shell class is the yellow banner across the windscreen. And our blue banner is the Trofeo Pirelli 488 class. They have their own individual pole position points, they have their own individual podium, and they also have another bonus point for each of those classes, the fastest lap in the race.
And it's not a progressive grid format that we sometimes see as well. There is separate qualifying sessions for the races. So we had a qualifying session earlier on this morning, which we made mention of, that Gattani was theoretically fastest, but got put back for that infringement and going too fast through the yellow flag sector. These cars are beautiful machines, and they do take a little bit of that technology from Formula One, because what you'll see here is that front splitter is raised at the front part of the car. And that's to create an S-duct, believe it or not, so to help with the car's pitch under brakes and to really improve the stability of these cars.
And as we've sort of discussed with these cars, we're looking on screen now, the aerodynamics of both the 488 and the 296 really are derived from their F1 experience of the Scuderia Ferrari. But the 296 is an 18% improvement in downforce and drag reduction, I guess, over the 488. So couple that with the 700 horsepower and a slipperier car, that's why we're seeing 300 k's an hour into the chase pretty much every lap for every car.
And you reckon if we put someone like a pro driver, for instance, in these cars, what do you think? Maybe a 202 here at Bathurst?
Yeah, we were sort of considering low twos would be an option. Good conditions, bit of a tailwind. Maybe a one with a bit of hope. As I joked before to some of the drivers, and it's very easy for me to say that as a retired driver sitting in a commentary box. It's much harder when you're in the car trying to do it. But yeah, these cars are absolutely phenomenal machines. And the best part about a challenge car is it's so accessible. With the traction control and the ABS system, you can have amateur drivers doing exceptional things in these cars, but you can still extract the performance if you're a pro.
And we'll touch on that as the race goes on as well. So we've got 30 minutes on the board. Race number 2. So Enzo Cheng and Rick Armstrong on that front row. Watch for Pollicina and Gattani off that second row as well. We'll head down into Murray's Corner and down the Meguiar's pit straight. The world's longest running one-make series returns here to Mount Panorama, and it'll be Enzo Cheng that will lead them to the green light to start race number 2 of season 2026. It's a good start though from Armstrong on that outside, but he's going to have to go the long way around through turn number 1, and that's exactly what he does. The Kiwi will lead the field up Mountain Straight for the first time.
And looking at data of all the drivers sort of yesterday evening as well, Rick is one of the guys who's got the best peak brake pressure, meaning that dive into turn 1 was always going to be in his favour. He could lunge a lot deeper than any other car. But already you can see Antoine and Jim Pollicina really making a move here.
Big move down the inside from Pollicina. So Enzo Cheng, after starting on pole, now finds himself into position number 3. Now we saw yesterday that Pollicina was really hungry in that third spot. He wasn't afraid to show the nose at certain points, but these cars do generate a little bit of dirty air, so track position is key.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we've seen, Jim is a very experienced racer. He does, he understands racecraft well. It'll be interesting to see how he puts pressure on Rick in this first instance, and whether or not Enzo and Antoine will sort of be saving their cars a little bit. We know they've got more outright pace at times, but whether they're trying to save the tyre and look after that front tyre for the end of this race. Obviously, it's a half-hour race, but a lot can happen in that time.
There was a little bit of that gamesmanship going on this morning, wasn't there, in terms of tyre use and when people were ultimately opting to use them in their qualifying runs this morning. So Cheng coming under attack from Gattani as Pollicina will try and work on your race leader. Here's this battle for position number 3. Gattani, if he can get a good exit here out of Forest Elbow, he might be half a chance once they get down into the Scuderia Auto Art chase.
He's going to have a big tow here. Yesterday we were seeing about 5 kilometres an hour on the tow. He's the closest we've seen these quicker guys come through. I'm just going to keep an eye on the speed trap as they run into the chase, because this is going to be very, very quick.
Remember, the trap and the chase is still about 100 metres before the actual braking markers. They are getting close to that 300 mark, but Gattani not quite close enough on that particular lap, as Armstrong here is just settling in nicely here now, starting to build that margin between himself and Pollicina. They'll come back to the line this time by, so the margin from first back to second at the end of the opening lap is 1.4 seconds.
Amel Norden there with a big look up the inside of the 275 car. Obviously pulled out early, but Amel had a bit of time to make up as well. Yesterday he sort of had a bit of a moment. He's really sort of found his pace in qualifying this morning as well, but I think just working on that 275 car, Richard Moore, sort of timing his best run to try and get past him.
Here's Sabai in the 88 machine. The driver that unfortunately brought out that red flag earlier on in qualifying this morning. And that car is going to have a different livery throughout the course of the year as well. He's got an artist working with him, and it's going to change throughout the course of the year as we head back towards the battle for position number 1.
It's almost too pretty to be a race car, that car, when you look at it up close. There's so much detail on it. He's really debuted in style with that car, but Adnan just finding his feet. It's pretty hard to jump into a car here for the first time and it'd be a car as fast as this. So he's doing a fantastic job keeping that car clean. And likewise on screen now, Antoine really kind of keeping that pressure on Enzo as Rick has sort of bolted down in front of Jim.
Well, out of the field of 14 cars originally slated for the weekend, 6 of them rookies here this weekend, and what an incredible place and probably a daunting place to make your debut as well.
Chatting to Ross Tamain, one of our Trofeo Probably 488 drivers, currently sitting second in class a little earlier on, and he raced here about 10, 11 years ago on an Evo, and he said that car you really had to muscle around this track. It had locked diffs and it slid all over the place, and he said now completely different driving style in a car like this, and he's really kind of got to build himself up slowly on a track like this where you don't get a lot of running time outside. You can't do a track day here or a test day very often. So for him jumping in, it's really about sort of just building up slowly over the weekend.
For about 350 days throughout the year, it's a public road. 60 kilometres per hour is the speed limit, but not for these Ferrari Challenge cars.
Not for Antoine, that time behind Enzo, 298 at the chase speed marker there in the toe of Enzo Cheng.
He's probably getting a bit of a double toe as well with Policina in front of him, but still can't quite find a way past Cheng in front. Incidentally, out in front, 2:08.3 for your race leader. 2.3 seconds now is the margin as Wilson gets down the inside of Truern there at the final corner and moves himself up to position number 5. Truern, though, making it quite easy for him because Truern's still leading Copper Shell.
And as I said earlier, Rod had some great race pace yesterday, but it only kind of turned on halfway through. So we're interested to see now, he's got some clean air. If he can do anything about catching these guys or even just knocking some time out, there is that point we said for fastest lap as well.
Gigotani thought about it then in underneath Enzo Cheng. When the team spoke with him at the end of qualifying this morning, they said, it's a bit of a question mark over your time. How do you feel about that? He goes, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to send it. And that's exactly what he's going to do at the moment. He sits back there in position number 4. Plenty of time still remaining in this one. 23 minutes on the clock. Gitani yesterday had speed, but it's almost a case of deja vu, isn't it? Because he was caught behind Cheng for the entire 30 minutes.
And you can already see now Enzo he's driving a little bit defensive. You can see him choking over through the great McPhillamy. He's not using all of the road, kind of opening the door to Antoine behind. So, he's still managing to maintain that gap to Jim a little bit, but it's definitely spending a lot of time at this stage to say, looking in that rearview mirror.
The more that this trio battle, the more that your race leader is able to extend that margin out in front. Already 3.1 seconds, so if anything changes and Gitani gets past the 2 in front, he's going to have a lot of work to try and catch your race leader out in front.
And it's busy back here there with the 105 car of Masahiro Taguchi. And then Emil Norden joining the party at the back there with the 275 car as well, Richard Moore. So this is going to be a bit of a battle pack here. Obviously different classes racing against each other at this point, with Richard being 8th outright, but first in his class. But the speed differential you can see there of the 105 car of Taguchi and the 296 really does make a difference.
Also key to note, as part of the experience for these drivers, they're all really given a driver coach, aren't they, in order to help them through the race. But they really, in some regards, actually commentate the drivers through the race.
That's correct, yeah. The driver coaches are all experienced guys racing in GT, in Australia and overseas, or GT4. And all these driver coaches are there, obviously, to help them extract a lap time, but also to teach them the racecraft that is needed to, come and race at Bathurst and those sort of things. So at this stage, they'll be talking to their drivers about, the strategy of the best position to be looking to overtake, to not lose any time, but also about the other battles that are happening around them. The classic spotter calls of the gap to the car behind, the gap to the car in front, and other things to just manage on the way through. So those coaches and engineers really do help play a part of, I guess, progressing these drivers from coming out of, amateur categories and working towards that pro driving.
And with the continual evolution of sim racing as well, a lot of these drivers hopping on those formats in order to hone their skills and improve their craft.
it's a very easy way, particularly now with things like the 296 challenge being included in some of the more common, available simulators. It's a great way of them, I guess, training their brain, working on mental fatigue in the car as well. It's concentrating in a car in a sim is very similar at times. The physical aspect changes, but in terms of actually driving in the sim, it's a very good way of learning the track and training your brain for the the frequency of corners. Richard's getting a bit impatient now, moving around a little bit behind there. Be interesting to see if he can kind of squeeze the car, but he is going to have that issue of that slipperier and faster 296 in front on Conrad every time. So he's a bit of a meat in the sandwich here at the moment. It's going to be a hard position for him to try and get any kind of net gain from.
He's got to be somewhat careful here, doesn't he? Because as it stands currently, he's leading that Trofeo Pirelli 488 class. So yes, an outright position sounds wonderful, but you've got to look after your class lead as well.
And at the moment, he's set for a clean sweep of qualified pole in class, fastest lap in class for each of the races, as well as there's the move there on Enzo with Jim, and also Antoine looking for a gap down the inside.
They're all together here, heading down into Hell Corner, and it looks like it's going to be Gattani that will try and make the big lunge down the inside. Policina's gone from second all the way back to position number 4 here. Cheng is going to hold on, but it's going to be a run all the way up to Griffin's Bend.
That was a fantastic move, obviously maximising that run out of the final turn. They all gave each other plenty of racing room coming through turn 1, which was nice to see, but obviously at that point the elbows come out and it's every man for themselves on the exit.
Gattani had a bit of a margin over Cheng and also Gattani, so leaves me to think that maybe he had a moment somewhere which gave up the time, and all of a sudden Cheng finds himself now in that second spot, and the lead has now blown out to 4.6 seconds.
And looking at the timing as well, in that last sector there, you've got nearly 9/10 that have been picked up. It was a replay.
So Policina under attack here from Cheng down into the final corner. And real heads-up driving there from Policina, gets just a little bit caught up on the exit ripple strip. And that's where Gattani was able to put the car right hard on driver's left going down the Meguiar's pit straight. And Cheng was like the meat in the sandwich then through Hell Corner, but was able to hold on in that drag race up the hill.
And it looked like when Jim went wide on the curb, it looked like he had a big lift there as well to sort of avoid spinning the car or sort of overly hurting the rear tyre. So just that loss of momentum. It is quite uphill there. That first bit of the front straight is quite a big uphill. So if you do lift there, you do lose quite a bit of momentum in time.
Still further back through the field, Taguchi-san, Norton, and also Moore continuing to battle it out for positions 7, 8, and 9 overall, down to the Forest Elbow.
And this is for the second step of that copper shell podium. We've got these two guys fighting out at the moment, so I will ask them to change their livery slightly for the next race. They're both very yellow for my eyes, but it's great to see those two guys having a battle, because they are guys that have been involved in Club Challenge for quite some time.
So this isn't done with yet. Now, if you cast your mind back and you're watching the live streams yesterday, this is exactly the situation we were in, but this is for the race lead. Today, it's for position number 2, because Armstrong is 4.6 seconds in front. So it's Cheng, Gattani, and Policina for positions 2, 3, and 4.
And looking today as well with Rod. Rod's now in clean air, but he's just not got the same race pace today in that car that he did yesterday. So I think it will be those three having the battle here. Be interesting to see now with Emil Norton there in the rear in that car 100. Wriggling around, really working that ABS hard. These cars have got a carbon ceramic brake package, both the 488 and the 296, but the 296 has what they call a carbon ceramic or a CCMR. It's a much different compound. It provides a very different feel to the driver, but also a fly-by-wire brake pedal. So that ABS system in the car really helps an amateur driver, pull these cars up from such big speeds with reliability and performance.
With a little bit of cloud cover over the racetrack at the moment, the pace today is significantly quicker than what we saw yesterday. The fastest time yesterday was a 209.1. In fact, rather, my apologies, 208.5. Today we're down to a 208.1, so roughly 0.4 of a second quicker the pace out in front, much to the liking of Armstrong with the clear air that he's got out in front. Now Gattani, if he wants to do anything about your lead around in front, he's going to have to get this move done now, otherwise his chances of a race win here this afternoon will be going by the wayside.
Exactly, and what you mentioned before about the track as well, not just the ambient and sunlight on the circuit, but since we've been on track this morning for qualifying, there's been a lot of very fast cars putting rubber down across the day. That Pirelli rubber obviously helps grip the track up. And it's really a guess for us when we're coming in the race exactly what we're going to do setup-wise with the car, because we haven't had any running during the day to see how it's evolved. So the track may have gone away. People like Rod's car, where he just doesn't have the pace, it may have made a bit of a calculated sort of change to the car's setup that hasn't gone his way. But I can also see these guys now moving around a lot more under brakes. They're really starting to work those Pirelli tyres hard.
Of course, ABS in these cars as well, which is adjustable throughout the course of the race. Also adjustable traction control, where they've got sort of 2 settings. So that sort of varies on how much you use and also when the traction control comes in through the corner.
And that was well timed, Brian, because in the background there I saw Jim Policena have a nice little sideways sort of little faint drift as he came onto the mountain straight there. But the traction control is a really good tool for us to help extract performance out of the driver, but it is also way more repeatable than a driver is. The biggest variable in a car's setup is the driver, usually doing the same thing every corner of every lap. So we use that system to really help dial the car in to the conditions and also into the driver.
G. Norton then struggling under brakes underneath the rear wing of Taguchi, heading into Hell Corner, and that time by still battling it out for 7th and 8th overall on the racetrack. And for Taguchi holding on to that 2nd place in Copper Shell, as we take you back now to the battle for position number 2. Going across the top, McPhillammy Park in one of these 296 challenge cars. It's 220 kilometres per hour at that exact point. Heading back down the mountain again. And for a lot of these drivers, these cars around this racetrack, it's been a dream for them, hasn't it, for a long time, to compete here at Mount Panorama. And really that progression that one day from these drivers competing here in Ferrari Challenge, we hope to potentially see them one day driving a GT3.
That's right, Brian. And what's one of the cool things about Ferrari Challenge globally is that it gives the owners and the drivers access to circuits you wouldn't necessarily get a chance to race at. So places like Spa and Monza and F1 circuits around the world are fantastic. We've spent time at Albert Park over the years as well as the category. But, Bathurst, for so many of the overseas drivers, when we were at the Finale Mondiale last year, they all talked about round 1 in Australia, at Bathurst again. You guys must be crazy. It's a fantastic place, and it is a really, really cool place to drive a GT car fast as well.
And that chance for someone as well to go to the Le Mans 24-hour this year too and play support to that fabulous race in June. So 13 minutes to go. Your leader is Armstrong out in front. The battle for 2 continues on, and it's on right now into Shannon's Hell Corner as Cheng continues to hold off Gattani, but for how much longer? Because Gattani wants one back on Cheng, because when you think of the overall context of the championship, this really is where the points really start to add up, even at the early point of the season.
I've just seen there Armstrong as well. Whilst he's got a gap, he's still just put in another personal best there, 2:07.4. Just bolting away from these guys. Obviously, he's very confident with the car while they're sort of struggling to kind of get into the 7s at all at this stage.
Yeah, that's a very impressive lap time, isn't it, in race pace conditions. So he's proving his worth out in front. Done a lot of Porsche racing as of late, but stepping into one of these Ferrari cars here this weekend, and we heard him on the grid really enjoying the challenge, but feeling the pressure at the same time.
And that's probably the hardest thing, I think, jumping into a series where these guys have raced against the 3 we're seeing on screen now. Every race last year, they were racing together. They know each other. They know what they're sort of, prepared to do and not do in terms of the car, whereas Rick's turning up to their party and kind of unsure about where he sits in the picture. So probably the best thing he could do is just run away from them.
Correct. Now, Gattani is close again, heading down into Forest Elbow here. Not going to show the nose, though, this time by. Behind the Policena is still right on that rear wing of Gattani. Speaking of that rear wing, it is adjustable 7 different positions in order to help increase downforce or try and reduce the drag, which is something that you try and do here at Mount Panorama, so you are fast heading down the chute on Conrod Straight. Gattani trying to show the nose here, not quite. He is actually close enough, but thinks better of it. Cheng saw him in the mirrors and slightly opened the door.
Big movement by Antoine as well. I think he's really working those tyres now, looking for every opportunity he can.
You reckon he was into the ABS as well as it squirmed out at the chase? This is a great battle. Enjoying this one. 11 minutes to go. It's Armstrong, Cheng, Gattani, Policena, the top 4. Wilson back there in 5. Trewern leading Copper Shell and Moore still on top in Trofeo Pirelli 488. Margin, incidentally, from first back to second, 6.5 seconds now.
This other battle here with Emil Norden behind there in the car 100, trying to find his way past Masahiro Taguchi. Still a few minutes left at this stage, obviously closing in on David Trewern as well. So there is the potential here for if Emil gets on with it, to get up to David Trewern and battle him for first place.
Using the limits of the track then, coming out of Murray's corner, dropping the right-hand side of the car off the edge of the racetrack.
It's a shame we don't have the old race cam available. We can throw down to Richard Moore now. He's got the best seat in the house here, sitting in the 275 car, watching this all unfold in front of him.
Pace has picked up for Enzo Cheng. He's just done a session best to the first sector, and we mentioned of that lead a moment ago being at 6.4 seconds. Well, it's been cut down by a second in the first sector alone. This race might not be done with just yet, with 10 minutes to go. But if Gattari wants to get the elbows out and go for that second spot, then that lead will continue to blow out.
And Brian, within about, I'd say, a half a lap, we're going to start seeing lap traffic. So all of a sudden, this battle here of three is going to start catching some of our Trofeo Pirelli 488 drivers, and that's going to be another variable thrown into the mix here, is how Enzo deals with that and where they approach.
Gattari a little bit closer then, this time by 7th gear, 300 kilometres per hour, right at the kink. Will he show the nose? He does, this time by back down to 4th, 110 at the apex here at the left-hander. Will he go into position number 2? No, Cheng around the outside, has the inside for the right-hander, will hold on. Watch for Polacina in behind as well. He looks, thinks about it. Here comes Gattani. Cheng doesn't want any of it. Contact, Gattani through and off into the sand. That is a championship-changing moment in race 2 of season 2026.
Yeah, that move, he just choked to the inside. It's always a dirty line on the inside there, hard to arrest the car. And when you're in that position, it is hard to see in these cars if they're on the left-hand side there. So what have we got? 8.5 minutes left. It'll be interesting to see what they can do from a recovery point of view, because this could potentially pull Jim Polacina now in P2, right on the back of Rick Armstrong.
And it's in a tough spot there as well, so you feel like the intervention of a safety car might come here late in the race. The fans down there at Murray's corner got a good view of that one, but Gattani will be bitter. Stuck in the sand. Safety car is called.
It'll be interesting to see that replay there. Like, it obviously started coming into the chase. There was a bit of a delay on Enzo getting out there. Antoine's looked for the move. Enzo sort of closed him out a little bit. It's going to be a hard one for Steve Owen to have a look at. I probably need to say that a few more times myself there, but it was very, very tight. Jim Polacina, though, knew what was going to happen. You could see him move out of the way and really make sure he got cleanly through there.
Pit pocket, the both of them. We spoke about the battle for the championship between these two, Enzo Cheng and Antoine Gattani, and already at the start of this season, it's rumbled, and we're going to speak about that all season long. I'll tell you what, for Gattani, it was lucky that car didn't actually trip over on itself, because the way that it went sideways into the sand there, it was lucky that it didn't actually end up on its lid.
It's good to see Antoine out of the car. I mean, these cars are amazingly safe vehicles, an incredible roll cage and halo seat inside there. An impact like that may look bad, but obviously they're designed to sort of shed the parts to sort of, I guess, move energy away from the driver's cockpit area. So it's good to see Antoine out of the car there. And obviously the recovery crews are going to be pretty quick down there to get on the car. And we might see, with 7 minutes remaining, we might see one more green flag lap.
Potentially, and he's talking to the officials down there, just explaining what happened and how the retrieval process might play out. And for Rick Armstrong, that safety car came out just before he reached that lap traffic, like you mentioned of a moment ago. But if we do get this race back underway, it's going to be Polacina. It'll be right underneath the rear wing of your race leader. And that will set up for a brilliant race to the finish.
The recovery team here, it's one of those positions on the track where it's usually quite fast for them to kind of do that recovery, because they can sneak them down the back road there and clear it up pretty quickly. So let's hope, with the fact that there's not too much debris on the circuit itself, we can get it there. Antoine just giving Enzo a wave on the way through.
Yep, showing his frustrations indeed. But unfortunately, it's not going to help with him stuck on the outside of the racetrack there at Murray's corner. But he'll try and regroup, regather himself for the second round of the championship coming up at the back end of March at Phillip Island. Another chance to have a look at this replay. And this is where sort of it all started, because he went for that big move down the inside of the chase. but Cheng was able to hold on. And then it was Pollicina that thought about the move as well, heading down into Murray's corner.
You can see Jim looking for the inside, realising it's not on there. Antoine's very committed at this point in ABS. Enzo's probably not giving him a huge amount of space coming into the apex there, but as I said, it is very, very hard to see. So Steve Owen, our DSO, is going to have to spend a fair bit of time here looking at footage, talking to the drivers to sort of, I guess, deliberate on that one.
It's a tough job, that one, and certainly a position I would not want to be in, that's for sure. So 5 minutes remaining in this race. Whether or not we get another lap in here, we'll have to wait and see, because we are on a bit of a tight schedule as well, with the Pirelli pole battle coming up next for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour. And Enzo Cheng there on screen, pushed back to position number 3 now, incidentally, in this race. It's great to have them here, though, this weekend at Mount Panorama, and like we mentioned, for a lot of these drivers, it's their debut in the category here this weekend, but for a number of these stars, it's that opportunity to really elevate themselves up the Ferrari echelon and make their way into hopefully a GT3 car. But what we're going to see throughout the course of 2026 is these cars visiting some fast racetracks that really suit these cars as well, thinking of, you know, Phillip Island and the Bend, high downforce places that really come to liking for a Ferrari car, I should say.
And we've spent with the feeder series, I guess, if you like, to this program called Ferrari Club Challenge. Same cars, same specification as this, just more of a learning and driver development program. We've been working at those tracks for a few years now, so we've got great data. Our drivers have got a great amount of experience there, and it means that we can turn up with a setup in these cars and some existing data to train new drivers and get them up to speed as quickly as possible.
One thing we haven't mentioned of too much in this race is the braking system in these cars as well, running a carbon ceramic material, and it's the plus variant, I guess you would say, which really extends the longevity of the life of the rotor.
Yeah, it's a big change from the 488. We're seeing cars last year do a full season on a set of rotors, which is fantastic. In the 488, it can sort of be, you know, a half season or thereabouts. But probably the key thing is with the fly-by-wire brake pedal is the difference in feel and performance you can get for various drivers, and the changing of that ABS mode helps extract that extra performance that you can get out of that new braking package.
408 millimeters in diameter at the front and 390 millimeters at the rear, so they are very big, and that stopping power is very, very high, particularly at the end of Conrod Straight here.
We're seeing over 900 degrees in those rotors in a heavy stop, so you know, it's fantastic the way in which they can pull the car up. It really is, you know, having driven GT cars on steel brakes, jumping into a carbon ceramic car with downforce like this, that initial bite you get out of these rotors is fantastic, but it's when you're getting deep into the corner, like deep into the chase here, you really feel that sort of retardation in the car increase significantly because of that compound and that material being used in those rotors.
Chad did a great job on the grid of explaining the twin-turbo V6 producing around about 700 horsepower, but they're a little bit different than the road car variant because we don't run the hybrid system here.
That's right, yeah, these cars are not hybridized like the road car is, where they push that power up, you know, 800 horsepower. 700 is still an amazing number to have in these, and the fact that they have that dual clutch transmission means you don't have that kind of classic small delay on a gear shift like you would have in the GT cars. They're still amazing to drive, very, very fast, but they are, you know, the torque application of this powertrain in these cars means that on a run down a long straight, you just don't have that small little step of deceleration on this gear change.
So just hearing, this is the last lap, so Rick Armstrong will bring the field to the start-finish line and will collect the race win here for race number 2 of Ferrari Challenge Australasia. And interesting to note, Enzo Cheng is under investigation and in fact has a 15-second time penalty. So right on cue, that penalty has come through, and that's going to put him right towards the rear of the field. So Rick Armstrong will get the race win here for race number 2 of Ferrari Challenge Australasia to complete round 1 here at Mount Panorama. Pollicina home in second. It elevates Wilson to position number 3. Trewern and Taguchi-san completing the top 5.
And Trewern there taking the win for Copper Shell as well. So that little extra battle will never quite played out for us, unfortunately. Again, Richard Moore, another great drive by him to get P1 for the Trofeo Pirelli 488 class.
So there you have it. A dramatic way to end race number 2 of the weekend. These results are provisional, so Rick Armstrong gets the job done from Policina. Cheng, though, with a 15-second time penalty, will go from first all the way back down to position number 12. So Wilson goes to third, and we turn over the page. Antoine Gattani, a case of what could have been for him, but stuck in the sand down there at the final turn. A dramatic weekend in the end for the opening round of Ferrari Challenge Australasia. Their next round will be coming up the end of March, and that will be at Phillip Island. Red, it's been a lot of fun this weekend.
It has, Brian. It's been awesome. Can't wait for round 2 coming up soon.
So we'll have a look at some of the highlights here for race number 2 of Trofeo Pirelli Ferrari Challenge Australasia here at Mount Panorama. And it was Rick Armstrong that was able to get that initial jump in the run to turn number 1. He had to do it the tough way, though, around the outside, but he made it stick and got the run up Mountain Straight for the first time. Of course, the Kiwi showing us how it's done here at Mount Panorama.
And it was a great battle that was unfolding behind him here at the start as well. So obviously Enzo and Antoine from day one, lap 1, but Jim Policina there just having a big sneak up the inside, making the most of that, which he proved to do at the end there, getting himself second position. Rob Wilson, a big move on David Trewern there coming into Murray Corner. Rod was sort of struggling for pace a little bit, but obviously has ended up on the podium, which is a fantastic result for him.
Cheng, Policina and Gattani did have a brilliant battle, and they would go 3 wide into turn number 1. Gattani thought for a moment that he had that second spot, but for Cheng, he was able to get that spot and drag race him up the hill going into Griffin's Bend. Policina just had to sit back there at the end in position number 4, and then it all started to take off for this second spot as Gattani went down the inside, but couldn't get the move done, and then all hell broke loose down here at the final turn as Gattani and Cheng made contact. Gattani through the inside of the racetrack and ultimately would end up in the sand on the outside of Murray's Corner.
That penalty there obviously pushing Enzo Cheng back, but the run, the pace that they had there was really sort of ramping up to be a great result. Obviously Antoine, they're very frustrated in the gravel trap watching Enzo drive by.
So a great result for Rick Armstrong, gets the job done here at Mount Panorama. We're building up to the Pirelli Bowl Paddle here at Mount Panorama. Hope you're enjoying the action on this Super Saturday at Mount Panorama.
With race fans here at the 12-hour need a little time out from the action on track, I found the perfect place. I'm down here at the Sked Area Auto Art Chill Zone. It's a great spot to get something to eat, maybe a drink, or learn about RPM, which is a brand new partner of the 12-hour, because I was going to tell us all about it. What is RPM? I'm sure lots of fans have noticed the signage on the track and on the bridges down Conrod.
Absolutely, we've had plenty of questions. So RPM is essentially a virtual online fan engagement platform. It's designed to bring a lot of those conversations that you might have with your mates trackside into a virtual platform essentially. So content creators and others alike can have these conversations that you might have here at the racetrack, online and at home, and increase that fan engagement.
Perfect. Now, how is Sked Area Auto Art involved in this?
Well, Sked Area is really excited about the technology that they're creating. So down the track, what we're really hoping is that this will expand our platform for displaying and advertising our products. So there is the hopes that we might be able to digitally sell some of these products through the platform and reach that greater automotive and motorsport market.
Perfect. There you go. So awesome spot for the fans to come and chill out here at the 12A. You cannot miss those bridges down Conrod.
Welcome to the annual Track to Town event where you can tell things are a little bit wet. That's a first, and another first. I'm normally here with my partner in crime, Chad Nalon, but Chad isn't here this weekend, so I guess it's just going to be me talking to you guys with one microphone.
Well, actually, Shay, I found a microphone as well, so I'm here to help you out. Firstly, g'day. Welcome back to Australia. How is it being back in the land down under?
Oh, this race is magnificent. It is so special. From a commentator's point of view, getting to tell the story. From a driver's point of view, getting to be part of it. Thomas, you get the better seat.
It's amazing here to drive a GT3 car around the mountain, and we've got a stacked field this year. So much competition, amazing drivers from all around the globe. Heaps of Australian contingent as well, so I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, we've got 52 Australian drivers in the field this year. 12 different manufacturers, though, and that's really what I want to talk about, because obviously Mercedes coming back, one of two manufacturers who's won this race 3 times since the 12 hours come back. Do you feel like there's any advantage to having the star on your logo this year?
Look, I think it's not a bad thing for sure. And this is my 3rd time doing the 12-hour and 3rd time in a Mercedes as well. But we have seen in the past, the last year, the BMWs were super strong, going 1-2 in the race. But yeah, we've got McLarens, Fords this year, Astons. We've got obviously the Mercedes, like you said, BMWs. It's a pretty stacked field. Ferraris. We've got, I think, 11 or 12 main supercar drivers here, plus co-drivers. It's really cool that we get to be a part of this as well, and hopefully we can take on the world's best.
Talk about how difficult it is when you come into a race weekend and you know the track, but it's Bathurst. Trying to learn a new car around here, it's got to be the hardest thing in the world.
Well, you say that, but then, I mean, a lot of these guys are pros. I mean, Lucas Sauer last year never even been to Bathurst and put the thing on pole, so that was so impressive. But to adapt for us from a supercar to a GT car, a very different style of vehicle. We obviously sit on the other side of the car, so there's a lot of walls at the Mount Panorama. We need to make sure that we know which walls we can be close to from a driver point of view.
How do you practice the driver changes when you're mentioning getting in on the other side of the car? I mean, do you just walk up to the passenger side of normal street cars and practice getting in now?
That's actually a really good idea. We should have tried that. It's actually a bit relaxed here because we get a little bit more time in pit lane, but still a lot of procedures you've got to nail. It's so easy to make a really small error in the pit lane and it can cost you a penalty. It's obviously a fun part of the game. A lot of pit stops in this 12-hour race.
Yes, there are. And we have 9 defending race winners from overall in the category in 5 different cars. But the bigger point, 22 countries represented on the grid for this year's race. Who's going to take home the big trophy at the end of the weekend? Honestly, 36 choices to try and go between. I have a favorite, but I'm not going to say who it is, and I know you do too.
Don't jinx us, that's for sure. We'll wait till Sunday.
Good luck, Tom.
Thanks, Shad.
Gotta love the Track to Town and the crowd showing up, rain, hail or shine for that one in the lead up to what is an awesome event. The Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Garth, it's time for the Pirelli pole battle, qualifying with the top 10, but not how we would normally do it here at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, those that are used to the top 10 shootout for the 1,000 weekend, we obviously see the one car have the whole 6.213 kilometres to themselves. But this session, a 15-minute session, all 10 cars in, and we've seen variations on how to achieve the lap time. A couple of times we've seen cars go out and do long runs, build the speed over the course of 3-4 laps, and sometimes we've cars go out and effectively do a top 10 shootout, do the one run. There is just enough time to get 2 tyre runs in if that's the strategy you want to use.
Now, we obviously are sports car racing here, but it's not the 1,000. There are still plenty of V8s inside this top 10, and one of them is a V8 boy in Brock Feeney. He was the sole guy to go out there for the Mustang team earlier today. It's a new car, it's new to him, and this was pretty impressive to see him wheel it straight into the top 10 in his first crack.
Yeah, first time that Ford have brought the GT3 Mustang here to Mount Panorama. And for Brock to get the opportunity to qualify this car, his teammates in Christopher Mees and Dennis Olsen's, both factory Ford drivers, both those drivers have a huge amount of experience here at Mount Panorama in other GT3 machinery. But for Brock, who drove this car for the first time ever in practice on Friday, to get that chance to qualify, it's a real feather in his cap. And obviously Brock's supercars team, Red Bull Ampol Racing, have just started the Ford relationship. So for Brock personally as a driver, perfect way to start his life as a Ford driver.
You got like 1,000 pole positions last year in the Supercars Championship, broke the record with 17 or 18 poles last year, so knows his way around a lap. To do it, he's going to have to beat an army of Mercedes AMGs. They have showed up with some serious pace. These V8s are loving Mount Panorama. Who's been the pick for you out of these guys so far?
Well, I mean, Cam Waters is provisionally fastest, but for me, Scott Andrews, who's second in that session. in one of the Tigani Motorsports, AMG Mercedes. He did it last year in their car last year. It was an Audi last year, and now they've switched to all their fleet across to Mercedes. So for Scotty Andrews to put that car not only into the pole battle, but deep into the pole battle, second outright in that session, really top effort.
Yeah, Jaden O'Jade is another name, a local boy running in the Supercars Championship, but doing a really nice job at stepping into this team, and he's getting ready to go. He's had a few years now as an AMG junior, and they have really backed him down in that operation as well to do the job today.
Yeah, I mean, Jaden O'Jade has done a lot of miles in these cars as that factory AMG junior here in Australia, all through Asia, has done some racing in Europe as well with AMG. He'll have a dual program this year in the Repco Supercars Championship for Premier Racing in the Chevrolet Camaro and doing AMG duties as well. So he's in the top 10 Pirelli pole battle. He'll be a contender. They'll hustle these things for sure.
Yeah, but there is one car in this field not running a V8, not running natural aspirated. It's the Sol Turbo car in the field, the defending champion, Shay. Have they got something for us in this session?
Well, that's what we're going to find out if Raffaele Marcello can pull magic out of the hat. And for Augusto Farfus, it's got to be such good emotions coming back to this place, having won at Bathurst now. Do you think your car, though, can win the pole award to just top it off?
Well, of course, that's a wish to put a car on pole. This is a 12 hours race, but track position is crucial, so we're going to give it all. We have seen, actually, on the last qualifying, how tight is the field. You know, within like 310, there was maybe 4 or 5 spots, so I do think we have the chance to be there. I'm seeing a lot of very fast cars putting good laps the last minute, so our target, of course, will be to be in maybe, first 2 rows. Let's see, Lelo's on top of the game, and now it's time to cheer for him.
You've done this race twice now. Do you feel like you've learned more in the last year than you did in your first year that's helped you maybe come in with a different sense for the race?
Well, last year we won the race. This race, it is still one of these old style race where you have to be clever how you use your field, how you race, and track position is crucial. So different than other endurance race where you can always have a shot on the last safety car and so on. Here, if by the end of the race you're not up there, it's very difficult to make a position. So learning this track, learning the race, every lap here helps. Of course, coming back 2 years in a row makes life's a bit easier, but we are all professional here, so you have seen also Max Hesse coming for the first time ever and putting the car, I think, P11. So all these guys are professionals, so at the end we are looking up for those towns of second, and we are all very close.
Well, we need to keep an eye on Augusto because he's won Daytona twice, he's won Nürburgring twice, only the one at Bathurst. Let's see if we can do it again.
Well, I think we should try to keep the statistics high, so why not? I would take this.
Yeah, Chad.
Yeah, they're going to be in with a shot tomorrow, but quickly let's focus on today. And for the first time, we're down here in the Pirelli pit bunker talking about the Pirelli pole battle. It is just one 15-minute session, which equates to about 6 laps around here at Mount Panorama. As Garth talked about, there is just enough time to come in and do 2 runs if you want to. What are the sort of lap times that we're talking about here? Here are the last few pole laps over the last few years, and you can go straight to the top and see Mauro Engel, sadly not in this session. That is an all-time lap of a 2-minute flat 0.8. We've seen lap times somewhere around this bracket here in the mid 201 so far today for Cam Waters. Can we get into that amazing range? Could we see the quickest lap ever for pole? Now, how do you go out there and break this down, this 6-lap segment? We've seen in the past, if we switch over to the last 4 years and how we've achieved these pole positions. Chaz Mostert did it in 2022. The yellow laps here are what we call 80% push laps. Not as fast as he can go. He then cooled it off about halfway through the session, then went bang, straight into a 202.49. Mauro Engel, that lap which he achieved, came off the back of multiple push laps to get down to that flying 2-minute lap. But then there's been a change in the last few years, much more like what you'd see in a supercar shootout where the guys have gone out, done 1 lap, bang, 201.9. Recently, Lucas Auer last year, very similar to what he did earlier today, went straight out, slow out lap, bang, 201.276. And we've seen the Mercedes spend a little bit of time in the pits, and Shay's been noticing they've been getting that heat soak into the car, then going out and doing that single lap time. We're not too far away from getting into this, but there is a special moment here that we just want to take stock and recognise a great friend of the series here in Supercars, and also for the Bathurst 12 Hour as well, in the wonderful John Casey, who sadly we recently lost. He was a member of the Supercars leadership team. He also led the Bathurst 12 Hour and was a founding father of the modern 12-hour race as we know it today. Energetic, passionate, personable, and sadly we lost JC recently in January. He's going to be oh so missed. and I'm sure that he will be looking down on the Bathurst 12-hour here today.
Beautifully said, Chad. And JC loved this race, and he would love the setup we have now as we work our way in to the Pirelli pole battle. Qualifying to set the grid for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. This is a race that has only been won from outside the top 10 on one occasion. It's only been won from lower than 7th on one occasion. You want to be at the front of the field when this race starts at 5:45 a.m. local time tomorrow morning. But there's a bigger carrot dangling on the end of the stick here as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open pit exit, please.
Because at the end of the next 15 minutes, up for grabs is the Alan Simonson Pole Award. It's named after the Great Dane who tragically lost his life in a crash at Le Mans in 2013, but was one of the founding fathers of GT racing from an international driver standpoint here in Australia, and especially at this racetrack. There were few that were quicker than Al here at Mount Panorama, and as a result, the pole trophy is named in his honour. And there have been all kinds of emotions when drivers do the time and get that trophy. So 15 minutes on the clock, fastest driver will start from pole position. Garth Tander has made his way upstairs. John Hindhoff alongside me as well. We love qualifying at Mount Panorama. There are few things better than an all-out attack on the 6.213 Ks of Mount Panorama.
Easily the best 6.213 kilometres of tarmac that we have in the Southern Hemisphere, and some may argue in the entire world. 174 metres of elevation as you make your way from pit lane up to the top of the mountain. The cutting at turn 4 is a critical corner. The run across the top, Reed Park, McPhillamy Park, across Skyline, down through the S's to Forest Elbow for that important run out onto Conrod Straight, where the cars reach a top speed of north of 285 kilometres an hour. Braking heavily down into the chase and the final corner. Easy to get it right, but even easier to make a critical mistake here at the mountain. We break it up into 3 sectors. We often talk about the run up the mountain in Sector 1, the run across the top in Sector 2, and the run down Conrod Straight for the final sector.
Here are the times that were achieved to get into this session and the drivers that will do the job. 2 of them have won the Alan Simonson Pole Award before, Matt Campbell in 2020 and Austrian Lucas Auer, who did the job last year for Craft Bamboo Racing. Going right back, Maro Engel, the first driver to win the Alan Simonson Pole Award in 2014. Laurens Vanthoor won it. Shane Van Gisbergen with what was then an all-time lap, and it took a long time to beat his 201.2 in a McLaren back in 2016. Tony Villander in the flying Ferrari in 17. Chaz Mostert's done it twice. He did it in 2018 and 2022. Matt Campbell in 2020. So, will we see a repeat pole winner? Will we see a new name? Will we see a new brand, Lamborghini, yet to score a pole position at Mount Panorama?
Let's just remind everybody, we have scrubbed all those times that the guys did to get in here. Positions 11 on down were set earlier on. This is for the top 10 and for that big Alan Simonson Pole Trophy. And I am intrigued to see how these guys go about this. 15 minutes, Garth, not a lot of time. You could still throw 2 sets of tyres at it, though.
It would be tight to get 2 sets of tyres at it if you chose to do that. We did see in the bottom 50% qualifying session and the top 50% qualifying session, both half-hour sessions earlier this afternoon, that it was taking 12, 13 minutes before we were seeing representative lap time. So, yes, you could get it done on 2, but you might do 2 average runs instead of 1 really good run. And we already have seen some split in strategy. The BMW didn't roll out right at the start of the session. The Mercedes, some of the Mercedes went out and came straight back into pit lane. That's some of the heat soak that Shea Adam has picked up earlier in the weekend, where they go out, get a whole heap of temperature into the brakes and into the car, and then sit in pit lane and let that brake temperature radiate out of the brakes into the rims, into the tyre. So you're not taking goodness out of the tyre, you're just getting temperature into the tyres. And then the Audis, the Porsches, they're all out working very hard right now on a second preparation lap ahead of what I think will be quite a long set of push laps.
It will surprise you not at all to know that Matt Campbell is behind the wheel of his 911 Porsche. Marco Mappelli has taken out the wall. Lamborghini Huracan, the number 93 red and white car. Christopher Haase in the Audi number 55. Brock Feeney in the Ford Mustang, and Raffaele Marciello in the 46 WRT BMW M4 GT3 Evo. First time we've seen that car here. So those guys have stayed out on the mountain. All of the Mercs, and there are MGs, I should say, sorry, and there are 5 of them. Half of this top 10 for the pole position.
There it is.
Are AMG Mercedes. There is the trophy. That's an impressive looking trophy.
And the trophy's pretty good too. The koalas have been given out around Bathurst this week. They've been the hot commodity item. Been traded for things over the weekend as well. Very popular.
You got one of those, Garth?
No, I haven't got one yet.
No,
I know someone, so I could get one.
No.
I've got a couple stashed away. I'll look after you two gents when we get to the end of the weekend. So here we go. Christopher Haase, the first to have a go at this. Should say Raffaele Marciello has got a pole position here. He qualified second in the shootout in 2019, but was elevated to pole position. The Aston Martin, Jake Dennis at the time, that got pole originally was eliminated from qualifying, was excluded from that session. So Lello has an Alan Simonson pole award. He then qualified third the following year in 2020. Hasn't qualified a car here since. He's either not made the top 10 or not been driving in the car at the time. Fascinated, deeply fascinated to see what this guy can do for the Wall Racing Lamborghini team, because he was blisteringly quick, Marco Mappelli. 36-year-old Italian, raced here in Australia in open wheel racing as a junior before plying his trade as a factory GT driver. He first raced with Audi and has now been a Lambo driver for a long time. The engineer that he's come down with from Lamborghini is a guy he's worked with for a long time, and the team told me they have transformed that car this weekend, and he has been getting the absolute most out of it. But perhaps more importantly, his 3 teammates have all been doing personal bests as well.
So 8.5 minutes to go in this Pirelli pole battle, and you've got to be kind to your Pirelli tyres here. You can't go too quick too soon.
Well, you say that, John Hindhaugh, but Brock Feeney's just rolled off a 50.2 in the first sector, so he hasn't mucked around getting the Pirellis up to temperature. So the Mustang was incredibly fast in that first sector up mountain straight. Not as strong across the top of the mountain, but they're playing to their strengths and making sure this thing is super fast once they point it in a straight line here off Forest Elbow. So big commitment required for Brock to get everything he can out of the car across the top of the mountain and then let the car do its thing in a straight line.
He's coming down towards where the Ford Mustang Corral will be, and Ford Racing opened its doors yesterday to any Ford owners on the property to go and say hello and grab a hot drink. Just gone past that now through the Scuderia Auto Arts chase.
Brock said, people were saying, oh, you guys were sandbagging yesterday. We said, genuinely, we were not fast on Friday, but we unlocked the car overnight, made some massive changes, and the first benchmark lap times are 2:02.41. Suspect the conditions are quite similar to where they were in qualifying 1 and 2 earlier today. So just under 21 degrees, still that patchy cloud cover over the circuit, occasional bouts of sunshine break out. So somewhere in the ones you'd expect for pole position. But yeah, he said, we were genuinely not that great yesterday, but we have transformed the car overnight. He said it is very, very good today.
All 3 of the HRT Ford Racing Mustang GT3 drivers went to the shakedown gathering at the Oxford last night, and Brock Feeney was quite bullish about the potential for the weekend. I thought it was really very interesting indeed. Right, let's keep an eye on the times while Shea Adam down in the Elf Oil pit lane can give us some of the atmosphere and the tension from the lane.
Well, there is a massive tailwind going into turn 1. All of the flags are at full attention up and down the front straight, and you can feel it coming in and out of the pit garages. Depending on how far into the garage you stand, you actually get protected from the wind, but as soon as you step out onto the lane, it is aggressive. So that's got to be affecting the braking point for the cars going into that critical first turn.
It's a really good point that you make, Shay, because I noticed earlier when we came on air that there was this wind direction was there, but it wasn't super strong, and it's a lot stronger now. So the wind intensity has certainly picked up, and it's the fast wind direction that you have here at Mount Panorama, because the wind blows across the track, and at the moment it's a tailwind down into turn 1 like Shay mentioned, but where it's the fast, why it's the fast direction, it's a headwind into Skyline, so you get a whole heap more downforce when you exit McPhillamy Park and then send the car over Skyline. And Marco Mappelli using that to perfection of 2:01.9. That's the fastest that car's gone this weekend. So Mappelli finding speed early, 3.5 tenths up on Haas. Now Feeney goes to second. So as quick as you can say it, the positions are changing.
And all of the Mercs are now out of pit lane as well to start their first, well, their run at this. It's not first run because there's only 5 minutes left on the clock. This session goes very, very quickly. Great lap for the bronze class car, but in driver only, not car, for Marco Mappelli. But Lucas Auer now starting to wind up the Craft Bamboo racing car on his first push lap, and he's gone sub 50 seconds to the first split, which is a very good indicator that you're on for a mid-1 at Mount Panorama. Now, last year to get pole, that car went out of pit lane, it did its push lap, it got pole, and then that was it. It was done. Could he do that job again?
One and done for Lucas Auer. And here comes the Scott Taylor Motorsport car, the 222.
Scott Andrews is pushing very, very hard in the Guy Valmont racing car as well.
Excuse me, yeah.
We'll follow this lap for Cam Waters across the line. It should get him up the order. It certainly does with a 2:01.92. Pulls 69 thousandths of a second over Mappelli. So the Mercedes AMG goes to the top. Chris Haas is looking pretty special at the moment as well. Andrew goes second, 8 thousandths behind Waters to make it an AMG 1-2 and bump Mappelli back to third.
We're going to see some pretty fast lap times fire in here soon, and this will be the first one. Lucas Auer seriously fast at the end of the second sector. It's going to be a very low one. As he comes to the line, what does he have for us? A 2:01.5, so lost a little bit in the last sector, did Auer. But also still fast sectors coming in from Christopher Haase and Lucas Stoltz aboard the Sun Energy 1 AMG Mercedes. Haase crosses the line, a 1.7.
Just keep an eye as well for Jaden Ojeda. In the number 6 AMG, he's the last. He was the last Merc out of the pits, so he's about half a lap behind all the other Mercs. So he's just slightly off strategy and off tyre warm-up with everybody else.
Matt Campbell's gone third in the Porsche. Mark Cielo for BMW goes fourth. So Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, BMW, the top 4. 4 different brands in there. Here's Lucas Stoltz, quickest of anybody to the first split. Personal best across the top. Gives a couple of tenths away to the Audi. But for a car that has qualified consistently strong here at Mount Panorama, this is a very good lap. Jules Gounon gave him the honour of qualifying a car at Mount Panorama. Does he deliver? And he does. It's a 2:01.4. And a round of applause from his co-driver. Lucas Stoltz now goes to the top. But Cam Waters has replied. And he's on for a very good lap time.
Certainly is. Fastest personal best sectors in the first and second sectors. Has the cumulative best to the end of the second sector. Nice and tidy in the final sector through the chase in the final corner. Does he come to the line? A 1 dead. Wow. Now we're starting to talk. Does Maro Engel's lap time look safe? A 2:08 is the outright qualifying lap record. We're not far away.
And the best lap time, if you added everybody's best sector together, is a 2:09. So you're spot on there, Garth. This could be something very special indeed. Team Craft Bamboo with the mostly white AMG GE3. 003 in the top right-hand side of the windscreen. He's third at the moment. Does he improve as he crosses the line?
Second. 1.25. Cam Waters, 1:07. What a lap time from 222. And Haase, who is doing amazing things across the top of the mountain in the Audi. Still fourth, though, but improves to a 2:01.5.
Lucas Stoltz in third has the fastest first sector. We're seeing a lot of really quick first sectors, but it's the final sector that lose a little bit of lap time, and that is where we find Lucas Stoltz now as he makes his way down Conrod Straight. His middle sector was not great, but still only 0.3 away from Haase in the Audi. So the strengths and weaknesses of the Mercedes AMG versus the Audi R8 are starting to show their true colours. The Merc's very quick up the mountain, but the Audi's so fast across the top.
For reference, that lap from Cam Waters is the second quickest qualifying lap in Bathurst. Full stop, any race. Only Engels 2:08 is quicker. What's this lap from Lucas Stoltz? Garth touched on the fact the middle sector wasn't great, and as a result, it's a personal best, but no improvement. Stays third.
But he does get one more lap, guys. 30 seconds on the clock. It's the usual rules. If you get across the line before the checkered flag comes out, you can complete your lap. I think he might be the last person to get that other lap. We're waiting for the 222 to come down to the final corner, and I think time might have elapsed by the time they get there. And yeah, it's going to.
Yeah, so Cam's rolled out of it. He's well out of it, and I think he's probably catching his breath right now.
4, 3, 2, 1. Checkered flag, please.
Checkered flag out. You can complete your lap. We are seeing some personal bests on the screen. Matt Campbell's on a couple of personal best sectors, currently 5th in the 911 Porsche. Here's Jaden Ojeda. He's 10th right now. And this is his first real go at it. He's going to get the one lap, so he comes to the line. Lucas Howard's put the Q in the rank, so second will be the best he has.
Stoll's going on with it, though, so he got across the line and got to start one final lap. So watch for 75 across the line for Ojeda. 202.1 remains 10th, which is where he will start Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour. Here's 75 Express.
Last car on the track, Krillsy. This is a potential once again for this very local team, really.
Matt Campbell gets himself to 4th, so puts the number 911 Porsche on the outside of the second row. And everyone else has completed a lap behind. Brock Feeney across the line at a 1.9 in the Mustang remains 9th. So Campbell will start on the second row of the grid. This is the question mark now. Will Lucas Stoltz do enough to grab pole position? He gave away a couple of tenths in the middle sector. This final few corners of Mount Panorama will have to be mighty for a double winner of this race to grab pole position. Or will it be Cameron Waters? That's the maths at the end of the Pirelli pole battle. Final few metres of Mount Panorama, and Stoltz stays third, which means Scott Taylor Motorsport will get pole position for the Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour, and Cameron Waters wins the Alan Simonson Pole Award.
Let's just let that sink in for the guys down there in the pit box. There is a lot of emotion down there. Scott Taylor has supported this race brilliantly well, Krillsy, hasn't he? And he desperately wants to get the result with a full Aussie squad.
Massive investment over the journey, and is super keen to win it with an Aussie team and Aussie drivers and take on the best of the world. That is the second fastest qualifying lap in Meguiar's Bathurst 12-hour history. Cameron Waters takes pole position for 222, and Scott Taylor Motorsport for Mercedes AMG. It's their 6th pole position for the brand in the history of the race, which is a record, and it's a 1-2 as well, with Craft Bamboo backing up pole last year with 2nd today, and a 1-2-3 with 75 Express 3rd. Porsche from 4th. This race has been won from 4th place the last 3 consecutive years. That might be a very good lap for Matt Campbell. Chris Haase 5th for Audi. Marco Mappelli, best ever start for a Lamborghini, in 6th position.
Fastest Lamborghini lap ever as well.
Correct. And then we go back to Raffaele Marciello. Scott Andrews, that's a huge job to get the guy Valmont Racing Car into the top 10. The team from Pirelli will present the Alan Simonson Pole Award trophy.
I think one lap too few for Jaden Ojeda. He didn't really get a good go at it.
Still, top 10 start for that team's first crack at being a factory Mercedes squad. The presentation is underway down in Elfoil's pit lane. What a job for Cameron Waters.
Amazing stuff. I've only got 2/3 of the operation down here because Chaz Mostert's gone down for some supercars testing. I've got Cam Waters, I've got Thomas Randall, I've got Matteo from Pirelli, and I've got the Alan Simonson trophies also. Please hand that over to these guys because they have absolutely earned that. And this is a special moment and a very special trophy indeed to collect here at Mount Panorama. Cam Waters proving his versatility. NASCAR, sprint car, supercar, or here in a sports car. How good is it taking on the world's best on home soil and beating them?
Oh, look, it's unbelievable to obviously get pole here and win the Alan Simonson trophy. It's Alan was an amazing bloke, met him a few times, so to do that is super special. I just can't thank my team enough. They've done an absolutely amazing job, and really through practice they tuned it up. I think having Baz and Chaz and putting all that supercar experience together really tuned the car up, and it's been a dream to drive. So yeah, can't thank Tommy, Chaz, the whole team. Obviously, awesome spot to start tomorrow, and hopefully we can keep it up.
It's fast out there, isn't it, Thomas? I mean, we've just seen Cam do his best lap ever around the mountain. We're talking about nearly doing 2-minute flats. What's this speed like when you guys are behind the wheel this weekend?
Well, I wouldn't know. I haven't gone that fast around here. I'm just glad to be been watching from the pits. But yeah, I mean, Cam did a mega job. Like Cam said, just echo that with just big credit to the whole STM crew, Ash Seaward Motorsport. It's, yeah, look, long way to go tomorrow. I'll just give a shout out to a mate of mine, Jack Aiken. Just want to say thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be pretty crazy in the morning.
No Chazzy here right now to help this moment and to enjoy this moment, but for tomorrow you guys have an even bigger job to do.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it's nice to get pole and start up the front, but it's 12 hours around here, and mistakes happen and all those things. So I think we've got an amazing crew. We just got to try and get through the day, keep the car in one piece, and be there at the end.
New present for the bub?
I've actually already scored one, so now there's a second one. So that one might be for the dogs.
Yeah, I love that. New dad, Cam Waters, new pole award as well to go with it, the Alan Simonson trophy. He's got his buddy alongside him in Thomas Randall. Chaz is going to be celebrating this one with the team later, but that is a special lap here at Mount Panorama. Cam's quickest and the second ever quickest here. How about that one? Let's go to Shay.
We'll talk about being special at the mountain. Lucas Hour, 2 qualifying attempts here at Bathurst, first and second. How happy are you with that performance?
I hope it's not keep going down. I hope it's not getting worse and worse. But I was very happy. We prepared well for the race, which is the most important, and the car felt amazing qualifying. So huge thanks to the team.
It's still a front row start. How important is that at night when we're starting the race and you can't see anything?
No, I really think you never know what's happening in the start, so you always want to be in the front. That's why I'm very happy, and I think it's a great starting position. But tomorrow, I think the two we see tomorrow, will be interesting.
So next year you go back to pole. That's how we're going to do it instead of going backwards.
Otherwise, after a couple of years, you won't see me anymore. I will be out.
Well, great job today, Lucas. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, the celebrations have absolutely started down here for the 222 Scott Taylor Motorsport. How a go at the International Media Scrum that's down here. Scott Taylor himself a chance to raise the trophy, the Alan Simonson trophy. And let's just chat for a quick moment here, Garth, about the man who runs this operation, owns this operation. He puts a lot of resources into this. He loves to take his toys around the country, and this is a pretty special moment for him as well.
Yeah, I doubt you'll find a more passionate man about this event up and down pit lane than Scott Taylor, and the commitment, the financial, but also the energy and the effort that goes into putting together a program like this. So fantastic lap by Cam Waters, but also fantastic job by this team. They've engineered it themselves. Like he was saying, a lot of supercar brains in there, a lot of local knowledge that have taken on some of the best GT3 teams in the world and beaten them, and some of the best Mercedes teams in the world and beaten them. So it's a real feather in the cap to everyone involved with this program.
Well, didn't that session live up to the hype? That was fun.
Second fastest lap time that we've seen. I thought at the start of the week we're probably not going to get there. We're not going to get down there. And you asked me going into that, well, what the time do you think they're going to do? And I thought it was going to be a 1.3 or a 1.4 that was going to be the lap time. So ultimately a 1.0, second fastest lap ever seen in qualifying any category here at Mount Panorama. That was a pretty cool one.
Well done to the 222. Well done to Cam Waters and the entire operation down here. And it's all about tomorrow now. Big night's sleep, Garth, and we'll be here nice and early.
It's going to be a big one. And remember the start of this race here 12 months ago. They were banging panels going up Mountain Straight lap 1. So it is important to be starting at the front of the grid. So anywhere in the first 2 rows is a really solid, safe place to be starting. We always say every year, 12-hour race, qualifying doesn't matter. It does matter here. You need to start at the front.
I know it's an early alarm in the morning, but those pictures, that first hour, it is worth getting up for.
Oh, it is happy hour at Mount Panorama. And even when I was doing this race and I wasn't starting, I got out of bed early and I made sure I got up the top. And I was one of those guys with their phone filming it myself just to capture it, because it is a very special place to drive a race car at, and they're very, very special pictures. So get up early and tune in.
So how's it all going to play out tomorrow? We've not got long left today, but gee, we've got a bigger field of cars, we've got more safety car risk, a bit more strategy to play out as well.
Yeah, a lot of strategy to play out. There is some safety car risk. There are some slower cars that they'll need to make sure they're careful of. When the bronze gentleman drivers get in the cars, they'll need to make sure they manage all the strategy and manage all their driving time. So it'll be a fascinating game of chess for 12 hours, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Lovely work. I cannot wait to come back here tomorrow bright and early. Going to be catching it live, Fox Sports and KO, and streaming around the world. It's the Meguiar's Bathurst 12 hour, and that was just a taste of what's to come. We'll see you nice and early tomorrow.
So, the second 30-minute part of qualifying.
Oh, this is an issue.
Oh no, big moment. 15 minutes on the